This Let's Play was supported by these awesome hobby companies.
Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Gabe is back with us once again from Firelock, and he's going to be taking us through a little one-shot of War Stories, their upcoming World War II RPG. So it's great to get a chance to sit back down with you, Gabe, and get a chance to actually play through a game as well.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I got a specially designed scenario, just cut it down to pare it down to about 2 hours, and I think it's going to be a good one.
Excellent stuff. So folks, if you haven't seen the interview that myself and Gabe had, pause the video, go and watch that first, and then come back here. It's the easiest way to do this. And we're not going to explain it all again for you. Do you want to be spoon-fed? This is outrageous. But long story short, Ben, Justin, and myself are going to be playing 3 intrepid members of the US Army. So, Gabe, do you want to bring up who we are and give us a bit of a breakdown of what we're looking at on our character sheets?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Of course, the War Stories is going to be based off of a Year Zero engine, and what we've got is the basics of Year Zero, which will be recognizable by just about anybody who's played any of their mini games. Mm-hmm. There are a few minor differences that need to be kind of pointed out. Some things that are recognizable in that they are borrowed from quite a lot of different Year Zero engine games and kind of put together in a way that makes sense for World War II. So here we have, for instance, Corporal Roger Slipshod Kincaid, as I understand it, Justin's character. He is going to be sort of the individual in charge. He's got the leader archetype, which you might be able to see right here, mm-hmm. and a virtue and a flaw. If you use the virtues and flaws in this particular iteration of Year Zero, you get an extra die. You can do it once per session. So if you feel that you're doing something that your determined characteristic will be of assistance, then you get yourself an extra die. If you act in a way that is impulsive and it is a detriment, you actually have a die removed from your impulsive action. In a campaign, that would aid you by gaining XP.
Right.
Okay. So even though it's a negative thing to lose a die, and you may not want to do it, you may want to do it to get that extra XP out of the adventure, and then your character, of course, can progress a little more efficiently. We got a little fluff background. Failed baseball player, disappointed his tough authoritarian father, joined the military to prove yourself once and for all. The backgrounds of these are interesting to note. Each and every one of these characters have gone through the life path creation method. There's 2 ways to make characters. You have your straight up archetypes that you can pick and choose really quickly and make a character in 5 minutes. But then there's this life path, and the life path essentially goes through 3 periods of your background: is your upbringing, your pre-war years, and then your war years. And in each of those, there's a sort of life experience that will shape not just kind of superficially who your character is, but also mechanically, it gives you access to specific skills and to, particularly in some cases, virtues and flaws. Mm-hmm. So this failed baseball player is actually one of the paths that you can go through. It doesn't have to be baseball. It could be any sport. I just happen to be more specific. And it's general enough to where you're not shoehorned into a particular specific thing. It's very general, so you can kind of still have the liberty of making your character just exactly as you'd like. Furthermore, you can just choose results rather than roll on random parts. Everybody can, you can pick and choose. The attributes and skills are there, just like in Year Zero. You roll the number of dice equal to whatever it is that you're planning to do. So a big one that will be featured today, of course, will be your agility and ranged combat. So we have our corporal, who's pretty good. Agility 5 is top of the line. And then ranged combat gives them another 2 dice. So you're looking at 7 dice.
Nice.
Additionally, if you look down under specializations and talents, this guy has got a submachine gunner specialization, giving him an 8th die. So you're looking at 8 base dice without looking at the weapon. The weapon, of course, as in all Year Zero engines, provide gear dice. And in this case, he's got a Thompson submachine gun. And over under where it says bonus, this is about the most complicated of weapons because it has a variety of bonuses. And what those bonuses feature, you'll see +1, +3, +4, +4, and +5. Justin will have to choose the mode in which he's firing his submachine gun.
Right.
You can either fire single bullet, which is going to be a +1. You can fire a burst, which is a +3. You can fire a burst for suppression, which is +4. It doesn't do direct damage. It forces the Germans to duck their heads. And you can go full automatic, though unlikely, because full automatic is going to basically expend all of your rounds in that particular turn. But in case it's desperation time, it's +4 for direct damage, +5 for suppression. So that's the most complicated of the weapons because, again, it has so many modes of fire, and we needed to capture that mechanically in the rules to make it a somewhat historically accurate game. I say somewhat because, the rate of fire in there has got 6/60. It's 6 for a burst. It's 60 for a full round, a full turn of firing at full automatic. And that's close to what it could shoot in about a 6-second frame. We had to play around with the numbers a little bit to make them easily divisible and to work it that way. But it is as close to historical as I could make it. We got a grenade, actually 3 grenades, and you got a fighting knife. And you can see there that the ranges are, medium and long, and it's very similar in many ways to Year Zero. So that's your basic character sheet. There's not much more to it. We can show some of the other characters for everybody else. You have a question, Justin, by any chance on?
No, not really. The only thing I would wish for on this character is to kind of rock it like Mad Jack Churchill and just be rocking into France with a baseball bat, strapped to my backpack.
You're ex baseball player, so that would make some bit of sense. Here we have our Jacob Steak Corbin. Grew up in a family ranch with cattle, so I don't know, maybe he's a barbecue guy. I had Jake, and I just said, Jake is such a lame nickname. What's better than Jake? And I said, Steak. Why not?
Makes sense to me.
It worked out. This is our scout. Who's playing our scout?
This will be my character.
All right. Well, there you go. This is going to be a fun one. This guy is a scout. He's hardworking, but get this: you have to play him as an impatient scout.
Sure. And I imagine that's where he got the nickname Steak from, because all the rest of the platoon think he's going to be dead meat if he doesn't calm down and stay in his trench.
Hang on. People think he's impatient because he cooks steak the right way. Just wipes it in the pan.
Right. Nice and raw. So he's got his skills, as you can see here, and you've got quite a bit of points attributed to your infiltrate. Infiltrate is essentially stealth for all intents and purposes. You've got yourself 7 dice, and on top of that, if you're hiding without moving, you have an extra +1. That's the stealth specialization. So you've got yourself 8 dice to hide without moving. You also have a really nice specialization called fast reflexes. As you all should know, with initiative in this game, you draw cards, and the lower the number, the faster you act. So if you have an ace, then you're going to go first. If you have a 10, then that's not good. But as fast reflexes, it shows there, it allows you to draw 2 initiative cards and keep 1. So that's pretty advantageous. You've got a carbine, and the carbine has a little less options in terms of firing modes. You can fire 1 bullet. You can fire rapid fire, which would give you 2 dice, and rapid fire suppression gives you 3 dice. Now, this is really abstracted out, and it's something that we're still making a final decision on, but this has been the I guess the best way to say it is the least troublesome and problematic mechanically to solve this. Rate of fire, if you notice, if you're firing 1 bullet, you spend 1 bullet. If you rapid fire, you spend half your cartridge rounded down, so it's 7 bullets. If you go full suppression, you're just unloading your clip.
Yeah, don't be expecting much suppression from me, guys. Bullets don't grow on trees.
I mean, you're the one that's up front. Kind of, we need to suppress for you to get your ass back.
That I agree with.
You do have some extra cartridges, of course. I did provide you with some cartridges here, 5 7-round magazines, which, of course, a fast action will reload. And you guys know it's a fast action and a slow action that happens on your turn, so you can fast action reload and whatnot. So that, and you've also got 3 grenades and a knife. Commando knife gives you an extra +1 damage. So
nice.
that is this character. While I'm in the character sheet, you'll please note the hit points and mind points. This is basically your physical damage and your morale. You have 4 and 4, which is nice. Now, when you start taking hits, if it's not a critical, that is to say 3 wounds in one shot, that's your critical. If it's below that and you've taken 1 or 2 wounds, for each incident that you do that, you would bubble in, one of these effects. A cut, you got grazed, you got battered. Effectively, this is to assist with the GM in determining how many times a medic can try and heal you. They can heal you for one opportunity per incident. So if you took a hit, a half hour ago and you took a new hit now, he can heal you twice. But how do you keep track of that if not through this? This is the easier way to kind of gauge that. It's a sort of a wound track, but it's more of an incident track. There are 3 additional ones under the physical because you can take fatigue. If one of you has to carry one of the other players off the battlefield, you may start taking fatigue damage, and that will deteriorate your hit points, and you can start bubbling in exhausted, winded, or strained.
Right.
So that's the damage track, and criticals are a whole other ball game and potentially death-inducing.
We don't need to worry about those. That will never afflict our tiny squad.
Yeah, I'll be in cover the whole time.
Speaking of medics, we have one in our little party.
Yes, our medic is going to be Private First Class Slim Jim Talbot.
Yeah.
James Talbot, U.S. Army medic for the 95th, son of a college professor, grew up educated and eager to see the world, which makes him, of course, naive. And I guess as a medic, it makes sense he was merciful. Interestingly, the random character path creation system generated a result that allowed Private First Class Slim Jim to know French and Spanish.
Awesome.
So you will note that those are known at tier 1 level, which is at basic understanding, not 100% fluent, but at least you're able to communicate. You've got your big skill, of course, is medical aid with 3 points, along with your intelligence of 4 gives you 7 dice. You do have combat medic as your specialization, where you get a +1 die for first aid. So that gives you a whopping 8 dice, looking for a 6, of course.
Nice.
Now, the medics, of course, as per Geneva Conventions, were not really allowed to carry a pistol. But we gave this one to them because on occasion, medics historically did break that Geneva Convention for self-defense purposes. And we're going to go ahead and have Ben carry the pistol shown there. The pistol is similar to the M1 in that it has 3 modes of fire. It is +1, +2, +3. And basically, it's the same as an M1 carbine, except that it's a shorter range. You also have a fighting knife and, of course, your medical kit and whatnot. So those are your sheets, gentlemen. I did want to point out one thing. We are using illustrations that are the company's stock illustrations for the game's 101st archetype. So you'll see there, the screaming eagle on the shoulder pad. And that, of course, is 101st. But, for our purposes, these guys are going to be serving in the 95th regular Army. The reason for that is the location I chose for this particular scenario didn't really see the 101st have any action there historically. But we're going to go ahead and use those same illustrations because it just looks cooler.
Yeah, they look better.
They look really nice, huh?
Okay.
Now, see, for this, if you have any reenactor buddies, just grab a snap in one of the uniforms, ask if you can put it on for a second.
That's funny that you should say that, because the fact is that our main historical advisor in all of this is a hardcore reenactor. He's got all kinds of stuff. You put him on you friend him on Facebook. That's all he posts is all his reenactment. Great guy. Great guy.
John should be here for this.
Yeah. It's very, very cool.
We have one of our guys here. His dad actually collects World War II vehicles.
Oh, yeah? Wow. That's hardcore. That is hardcore. Mm-hmm. So here we have our setting. Our setting is in eastern France, right on the border of Germany. We have the city of Metz. Metz, gentlemen, served as a major screeching halt to Patton's Third Army as he was rampaging across France and trying to cross the Rhine. Metz was a screeching halt because of the number of fortresses that surrounded the city and essentially how well defended it was. It caused all manner of headaches for General Patton, and it took him over a month effectively to be in this region and to try to liberate it from the Germans. Eventually, he would settle on a double envelopment, and you can kind of see it happening here where the left flank and the right flank is essentially going to cross the Moselle and come at the city from the rear. In the meantime, the 95th is going to come down here and approach the city head on and is going to need to cross the Moselle. I can kind of zoom in here and you can see a little bit more clearly exactly where you're situated. You are situated, guys, right at about this point. Mm-hmm. And the date is November 17, 1944. At this point, the forces of the left and the right flanks of the Third Army have converged on the outskirts of the city, and the city is doomed to fall. The German garrisons inside are holding out because that is what Hitler ordered to the end, and the American forces are basically going to come rampaging in from all directions. As fate is going to dictate, the city will fall by the end of the week. However, of course, your characters are not really privy to that future knowledge. As far as you're concerned, you're going to be moving into some very, very destructive battles. And there already have been a lot of destructive battles along the northern and southern perimeter of the city. Oddly, your frontal assault is relatively quiet because of these attacks on the flanks. And your position on the northwest bank of the Moselle River affords you a view of a city that is wrecked by bombardment. There are fires still present from the previous 4 days where there was some heavy bombardment as American planes essentially pulverized the city in path to liberating them. A true word that was used at the time. So you guys will find yourselves, and let me switch the share here to a very specific location. We have a close-up of the city, and we will zoom in. This is an actual 1943 map prior to the city's bombardment, and shows some of the structures that are present. You can see the Moselle River, and on this side is the American encampments. There aren't too many because, there's still fear of American bombardment kind of affecting friendly fire, so to speak. So you guys are sort of the front lines. And across the river here is the northwestern edge of the city of Metz. You find yourselves zoomed in even farther to the point where if we were to watch this in a film, we would have the credits beginning as a Gabriel Garcia production. and we see, 5 GIs rowing across on a military, small, inconspicuous raft and getting across the river, hiding cut to hiding the raft in one of the structures there that you see that are labeled baths. These are ancient Roman baths that's actually dotted. They're crumbled. They're a mess. They're completely ruined by bombardments. You're able to dash the raft in the reeds. You're able to come out and get onto the land here, and you basically crawl towards some of the high grass that is present there. And in the meantime, what's going through your mind is the last 6 hours where you were given your mission by Captain Fontaine. Captain Fontaine essentially called you in, corporal that is, and said, look, this is the situation. Some little girl came crossing the river, said her father is an informant of the French resistance. He's injured. He apparently can't make it back here on his own. He's got some sort of information that's going to help us on the attack. So listen, I don't know anything about this little girl. I don't know about this informant, but I'll tell you this, if it's worth any kind of information, I'm sending you guys out there to go get this guy. Get yourself a medic and go bring him back. He's supposedly at the basement of one of the churches there, the one that you see with the tall spire right across the river. All right? So head on out there, use the cover of darkness, and don't make a mess. I'm going to give you a flare. You get into trouble, you fire the flare, and you're on your way back. We'll give you some covering support. That's flashing through your mind as you're crawling and you see the spire in the distance across some relatively open fields. You've got with you the three of you, and you've also got two additional compatriots, Brewski and Puck. Brewski is a guy who's pretty tough, big guy. He carries a bar, a Browning assault rifle. And Puck's a guy who carries the ammo for him. He's also a pretty good guy as far as you know, but you don't really know Puck that well. But Brewski, you've had a few beers. This guy can drink anybody under the table. And he, along with Puck, are along for the ride. So, gentlemen, I will introduce you now to my, relatively easy to use application that lets me show you where the map is and some details. And I think you can see the tiny people here. Because if I blow up the map any farther, then you lose the ability to really see the images of the map itself, because it's not a very high resolution map. So there you have it. You have the corporal, you have the medic, and you've got the scout, correct. And what you see in front of you, as you can see the map here, are two abandoned rail cars. That's what these two images are. And you have the church. It is dark, but not dark impossible to see dark, because there is a relatively three-quarter moon that keeps peeking out from behind some clouds. The clouds are moving relatively quick. They're downpouring some showers and some mist. It is a very rainy November, and you guys have got yourselves some overcoats as best as you can, but there's not much in the way of supply. Most of your company has suffered from trench foot at one point or another due to the moisture and your position as in a stable place. So grassy field, rail cars, the church in front of you, a very darkened cityscape that is full of ruined and obliterated buildings. Yet you paid close attention, and there are the occasional lit kerosene lamps that are shielded and covered up so that you barely see any of their illumination. This is an inhabited city, and it is not thoroughly abandoned. And you imagine, of course, there's still plenty of French civilians in the vicinity. What to do now?
Well, Corporal, orders?
First things first, Brewski and Puck, get inside one of those rail cars and set up. If you hear us coming with the Germans behind us, keep their goddamn heads down.
All right. So you're heading out, and you're basically sending Brewski and Puck out there, right?
Yeah, I'm sending them to sneak up in there and just set up with the BAR. And if something goes sideways, we've at least got someone putting the Germans' heads down while we're coming back away.
All right. I think I've got the right folks there. I'm not 100% sure. What about the rest of you?
The rest of us, I would suggest let's move up to the other boxcar and
All
send
right.
our intrepid scout ahead, perhaps, to have a look around.
Yeah, excellent.
Slim Jim looks down at his helmet that's got a big old red target on the top of it, sticks it on his belt, and then follows Slip.
All right.
God damn it! Just wipe some mud on it.
Yeah, but then if they are shooting at me, they're just gonna see it even more.
Look, until the shooting stars, they don't need to know not to shoot you.
So I'll tell you what, you guys cross and you manage to kind of sneak your way through there. I will tell you that when you reach that other rail car, you have a bit more of a vantage point towards some of these structures that show the manufacturing of tobacco and a wrecked hospital that's obviously not in use anymore. What you do see is you see by the reflection of the moon and whatnot and some of the illumination that it brings. And by the way, the background of the city, you could see that there are some areas that are still on fire. Mm-hmm. It's got a smoldering kind of an effect that lights up the sky, in some cases a dull red. And so that dull red is still something that you can maybe see a little bit of details by. And one of the things you note is that there is an adolescent, it must be, mm-hmm. An adolescent with a small dog, and he's kind of walking around, and you could tell he's being real sneaky. He's walking very carefully. You see just a tiny hint of a spark as he's maybe lighting a lighter or a Zippo or something, and he's kind of creeping around looking at the grounds of the destroyed buildings. You get the impression he might be trying to salvage something or move around, or maybe he's just walking his dog. You're not really sure, but you do see that's about the only movement that you see. And it's just off in the distance to the far left. Now, your objective, of course, is the church that's pretty dominant in the image there on the map. So it's not quite where the child is. But you did see that. And at this point, I do want the three of you to make a perception roll. Okay. So go ahead and make those rolls. I'm going to ask you to remove one die. Remove one die for the darkness to kind of simulate that. Remember, you roll your empathy plus your perception skill minus one die.
Yep, okay, I got a 6. So yeah.
2 for me.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
For me. See.
So the corporal is able to, and the medic. Did the scout see anything?
Yeah. 2 successes.
Okay.
Yeah, boxcars for me.
Nice. All right. So if you did get an extra success, you actually could get yourself an additional lucky strike. So you can get your second little lucky strike there. I believe somebody's using actual cigarettes.
What? You got to do it right.
That is correct. Hey,
Bill saying, smoke them if you got them.
Smoke them if you got them. Any chance you get.
Focus on the church, Corporal, not on the tobacco plant.
Right there.
But it's right there.
So you got yourself an extra one, and what you all managed to see are 2 sentries that are walking plainly right down the center of this open expanse. There's 2 sentries. You can see both of them have cigarettes. They're both smoking. You did glance at one, and one's taking a quick swig off of a small flask, and they're kind of walking in your direction between the 2 rail cars. That's presently where they are, but they are walking northeast toward the manufacturing plant of the tobacco industry there. And you hear them kind of mumbling in German. Wir haben diesen Ort verloren. Kann sein, aber sie können besser. And you're not quite sure what, but I can tell you that the medic can make an insight roll to see if he gets the gist of it, because there's a sort of language background that he's got with his father being a language professor.
I'll give it a go. Oh, nothing. No success.
Nothing. So as you know, you can always push those rolls if you like. Now, in this iteration of of the rules of year zero. When you push your roll, any ones that you get, as you know, in other games they're called banes. In this game, they're called duds. Any duds that you roll are going to give me FUBARs, and these FUBARs can be used in many ways to make your lives harder.
So if I now push this, because of my intense focus intelligence, I get +1 dice, and I can disregard the dud if it comes up. So
disregard 1 dud.
Okay, let's give it
That
a go.
is correct. Intensely focused.
He strains his ears, and he's like, and here was me thinking they might all be asleep. I got it, and I got no ones.
You got it. Excellent. And did you get more than 1?
There's no ones in there. So
nice.
Yeah.
So there haben diesen Ort verloren is we've lost this place. And the other guy said, kann sein, aber sie können Brazil. And that is maybe, but they can pay.
So Slim Jim just reiterates that to the other two quietly under his breath.
Quietly.
And he's just like, well, they got a lack of morale, but they're not going to go quietly.
Well, I will tell you this, just as you're kind of whispering, you know that they didn't hear you. There's no way that they heard you. There's no way.
Totally.
There's no way. None. But the one who said that they're going to pay starts to walk in your direction. He starts to approach the rail car. There's no way he saw you. There's no way he heard you. But he's coming toward the rail car.
I'm going to gently set down the carbine in the rail car, draw my knife, slither out, back through the door, and then underneath.
Okay. And underneath, nice.
To keep an eye on them.
Jim's going to sneak into the shadowiest shadows of the train car and put the helmet that he had on his belt back on his head.
Slip is actually going to head to the other end of the boxcar, just in case they come right around the other way.
All right. So he's approaching and he's getting closer. And the one who has the most vantage to this is let's see, who is it that went under the rail car? Slim? Oh, Corbin. Steak. So Steak Corbin can hear more than anything else the very loud unzipping of trousers.
Oh no!
and just as he gets the perfect spot to hide under, there is a trickle of the German relieving himself right beside your face.
Bring me in, Gerry.
War is hell.
I would like Gerry for an infiltrate roll.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see. You are Steak Corbin, so you are indeed the scout, and you are stealth, so you're not moving. So you get all 8 dice, I believe.
Dice.
Nice.
Watch me feel this and be impressed. So that'll be no successes then.
Would you like to push your roll?
Oh, I would love to push my roll.
Did you have any ones in this roll?
There was 1 in that roll.
So you set that one aside. Now here's a use. Here is a use, one of many, for your lucky strike. Your lucky strike can be spent to re-roll all dice, including the 1. Now, if you have a 1, in that push roll, I am going to get at least 1 FUBAR.
Okay.
If you re-roll the 1, then I perhaps might not get any FUBARs.
I see.
So that's up to you.
I'm not right now because I have so much more potential to roll 1s later on when it's even more extreme. Right now, we're right by the river.
Not to mention, as the designer of the game, I will tell you that you have to have 1 for defensive purposes.
Oh yeah.
Because this will ignore a wound, and this is huge. All right, so always have that 1 in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm. Just don't sit on it and break it.
Sure. No, definitely won't do that. So, do you want the bad news or the good news?
No additional 1s, but no 6s.
Well, the good news is my new dice tray works really well. In that all of the dice are there. None of them are 6s, and I got 2 more 1s.
Oh,
3 1s in total.
Wow. Well done.
These dice were so good before we started playing.
I have maxed out on my FUBARs now. So
that's how we lull you into a false sense of security.
So as the trickle, I'll tell you, as the trickle kind of comes real close, it caught you completely off guard. You lifted up your head, you banged your helmet into the undercarriage of the cart, of the rail car, and immediately the Germans are aware that something's going on down there. Although fortunately for you, he is a little slow to react. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight away to cards, and we're going to see he's going to draw 2, and he's going to pick the worst one because he's in a little bit of a different state, right? So I'm going to have you guys, I'm going to shuffle my cards, and I'm going to draw 2 for the Germans, and the worst one is what he keeps. And you guys scout, and then we've got the medic, and we've got the corporal. And who is it that gets
I would like to say
cards?
Myself.
Okay.
So the medic both have fast reflexes. And you'd be surprised how fast you can be when a German is whizzing on your head.
It could be.
I mean, I was just expecting an exclamation of disgust from underneath the train carriage.
Yeah, that could have been it. That could have been it exactly.
I will tell you, unusual showers from animals is not unusual for me.
Yeah. I will tell you that the medic has the ace in the draw there, and in fact, I would argue that that's because he heard the banging directly underneath him, and he knew that the gig was up. So, what shall you do, Ben?
Oh. Well, there's another German out there. And I am naive. So Jim's just going to sit there and be like, maybe they didn't hear anything. No. He's going to, there might be like a rock or something, or like a bit of metal in the boxcar. And he's going to wing it out of the boxcar back towards the river. So to like try and distract them. Kind of, maybe.
Okay. I like it. So you do find some debris down there. There's basically some odd wrench that was left behind, and you toss it toward the river, and it makes a dull sound. You're not 100% sure if that paid the bills, but we'll see what happens. So that was the ace. That was the ace in the sleeve. Next up is a 6, and we actually go to the scout. So Steak.
Thank the Lord.
I knew you had this. I knew you.
What are you doing? And that was with a 6. You drew a 6 and a 7.
Oh, God loves a trier. Well, as far as I'm concerned, the jig is up. I don't want them staring at me underneath this. So while he's still distracted with his piece out, his weapon in his hand, so to speak, I'm just going to grab his ankles.
Okay.
So that he falls backwards, and as he goes down, knife him up. So.
Okay. So that sounds like a grapple roll. So what we'll do is we'll have that be a close combat attack.
Okay.
And we've got ourselves the stats for 4 and nothing else. What we'll do is we'll give an extra 2 because he's completely unaware of where exactly you are. And so this is going to catch him completely off guard. So we'll give an extra 2 dice. So you got yourself 6 dice.
6 dice. I mean, what could go wrong with 6 dice?
All the things.
Some of the things. You said you're maxed on duds at the moment, yeah?
Yeah, I am. I am maxed.
That's good. So those 2 1s won't make a difference then. One success.
Well, that's all you need. You just need 1 success. The 1s don't trigger unless you need to push your roll.
All right. Well, in that case,
if you had your 6, that's all you need. You dragged him, you pulled him under, he collapses backwards, he drops his gun, and effectively you got him where you want him. And at that point, you do glance at the fact that the other German is kind of like, what's going on over there? You kind of hear him call out to him, but he doesn't see where anything is, where there are any enemies approaching. So that is what has transpired. We have an 8, and that is going to be none other than the corporal, right? That's the only one. Yeah, corporal hasn't gone.
All right, so there's one German underneath the boxcar getting stabbed up by a very irate Mr. Steak.
Very damp.
Where exactly is the other German in relation to me now?
The other German, and let me see if I can actually pinpoint them. Well, I'm not going to bring them up because that might mess up my whole software here. He's going to be in the middle, right, parallel with the rail car's end, right where my arrow is, right about here.
Okay. So he's wondering where his mate is.
Yeah,
so
it's about 25 meters away.
All right. So I'm pretty impulsive. So from the corner of the boxcar, my guy is basically just going to go meow.
Like a cat.
Yeah, just meow as if there's a cat.
Okay.
Just to try and distract him a little.
All right, you're trying to distract the other guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Steak is going to
Slip.
Sorry, not Steak, Slip. Sorry. Slipshot is going to try to effectively imitate some feline, and what we'll do is it's pretty typical to have a cat around in that particular vicinity. So I'm going to give an extra 2 dice to this, and you're going to use your persuasion ability, and that's going to be 3 with your empathy, 1 with persuasion. That's 4, and an extra 2 dice for the feasibility of there being a cat in this particular rail car. So 6 dice. We'll see what he thinks.
So
really
look
like
at 6s?
I like that.
Yeah, you need a 6 on one of them. That's all. 6
I like
dice.
that we have feasibility bonuses. That's a great.
I'll tell you, you know what else? This is just, I'm throwing this out there, not that this may be strategically the thing to do, but just to add to the rules. You can spend a lucky strike and get 2 extra dice.
Well, I did get 1 6. So
you need.
Okay.
So convincing cat.
Sorry, convincing cat. The German's kind of looking and saying, and you can't understand what he's saying. And at that point, he kind of just continues walking, and it doesn't seem like it really perturbs him too much that his friend is maybe chasing a cat. He doesn't really give it too much thought.
I mean, maybe they're running low on food.
He continues walk. Yeah, maybe it could be. He could be. That's certainly feasible at this period. So you do see that what he does next, okay, is he sees real quick the lighter of the boy, and he says, and he goes running over like to apprehend the boy. You see the boy take off running. So this German has gone off looking for this boy and effectively leaving his compatriot behind. Meanwhile, his compatriot gets to act on initiative 10, which is rather shocking, although maybe not because he was drunk at the time. And he is beginning to grapple and kind of try to get loose from the grip of the scout. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll for the German, and he's going to roll to try to get away. I'm going to remove a die for his state of inebriation, and he's not going to likely have much in the way of success, but a 5, a 2, and a 6. How about that? So he slips loose. He starts crawling backwards back into the grass. He's loose now at this point. You see him kind of getting onto his legs and kind of in a crouched position. We're going to go to the next initiative round. Now, I will tell you this. Unlike a lot of the RPGs out there, my friends and I have never liked this. We've never liked static initiative. Mm-hmm. We like to reshuffle this nonsense and give it out all over again. So that's what we're going to do.
I'm happy with that because I can only imagine things will get better for Steak.
Steak gets 2 cards, all right?
You got this.
And Slipshot gets 2 cards. Steak gets 1, and Slim Jim gets another. And the German, who's still inebriated, gets the worst of these 2. Well, one of the things that my friends and I do, and it's really fun, and I think we can't do it here because I'm the one drawing all the cards, is we keep all the initiative secret.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. So then the GM calls out who's got aces, and nobody can plan anything. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
You run it like Citadel.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We've seen our planning.
Now, there are some mechanics that I'm not going to really touch too much on here. And in fact, some of them are advanced rules that let you manipulate the initiative with commands and with making a plan and that sort of thing. They are advanced rules and they're purely optional, and they give you a lot of flexibility for commanders in particular, for instance, to drag someone who's got a low initiative onto his initiative. And that way you act faster. He's got to make a command roll and get 6s and whatnot. So there are little tweaks to the rules to kind of simulate a kind of combat scenario, if you want to go into that, that extensively. So aces, thanks to the let me see here. I got my character sheets here and I got them in the wrong order here. Yeah, Steak is the scout that's got fast reflexes. Thanks to the fast reflexes, we've got a 7 and an ace.
Nice.
And so Steak is going to get to act first. This German has just kind of slightly gotten away from him. What are you doing?
I'm going after him to finish him with the knife.
Okay. All right.
On top.
Okay. So he is you are going to approach him with a knife. That's going to be close combat, and that's going to be 4 plus your commando knife, which gives you a +1 bonus. That's going to be 5, and we've got the potential to use an extra +2.
I've seen the damage 8 dice can do. I'm not willing to go to 7.
Well, I will tell you this. I have the luxury of some FUBARs. And the FUBAR is going to be spent at this point to trigger the ability to counter and make an opposed roll. Okay. If I didn't spend this FUBAR, it's just a straight up roll on your part. I'm going to try to oppose that roll by dodging. And dodging is going to use the German's athleticism, whatever it may be, his nimble skill, actually, to be precise. And if he scores 6s, it will counter any of your 6s.
Okay. In that case... Can I still spend a lucky strike to get 2 more then?
You can, of course.
In that case, I will do this thing.
Okay. He's going to try and dodge. Here's his dodge.
I get 2 successes.
I got 1. So your 2 minus 1 is going to be 1 success. And now you're going to inflict damage. So your 1 success is going to basically allow you, unlike a lot, this is another wrinkle. This is one of the most significant wrinkles that differs from a lot of year 0 engines. There is a damage die. And the reason why we came up with the damage die is because in a lot of year 0 games, the number of wounds that are inflicted are simply the number of successes that you have. Yeah. And really, if you're sitting on 4 or 5 hit points, the chances that you're going to be wiped out in one blow are slim. Because how many times is the GM going to roll 5 or 5 6s in one shot? So to reflect the lethality or the lethal nature of World War II, we've got the damage die. Nice. So what the damage die does is very simple. It looks a little complicated, but it's not. 1 through 6, 1 point of damage. 7, 8, 9, 2 points of damage. A 10 or above, 3 points of damage. If it goes over 13, it's 1 more for every 13. And we had to add that because we're using the same mechanic for vehicles. And since vehicles have, 6 or 8 or 9 wounds or whatever, we had to be able to use the same mechanic. So D10, the weapon can be more or less lethal. If you punch somebody, it's a minus to your D10. If you fire at them with a machine gun, it's going to be some extra pluses. Every extra 6 that you rolled, had this German not dodged and I'd not spend my FUBAR, you would have had 2. Every extra 6 is a +1 to damage. Nice. So right now you're sitting on a a commando knife, +1 to damage. You got a D10. Yep. You get to add 1 to that.
9 + 1 is 10.
Whoa! You slit his throat. You jammed it right in there. He couldn't even get anything out of the voice box, and you have yourself a dead German. And he just collapses, and blood just gurgles out and onto your hand and knife.
Holding him to the ground with my fist jammed into his mouth just to make sure he definitely can't cry out when he goes down. I just hold him there as I feel the lifeblood drain from him when he stops kicking under me.
Perfect.
And then I whisper back, "All clear. Bring my gun."
That's awesome. That was fantastic. That was really, really good. Now, to be clear, 3 wounds is a critical. If this is an important character or a player character, you roll for the critical effect. But if it's an NPC or a mook or somebody that you want the combat to move on, any critical will just take out a mook. And you can play that however you want. If you really want to make life difficult and prolonged, then you can roll the actual critical and see what in fact had happened. But for our purposes, obviously, I prefer a quicker, faster action, and we're going to have this guy killed real fast. Combat's over. You guys are seemingly in the clear. The other German has gone chasing after the boy, and the church is looming in front of you.
So Jim's going to peek out of the boxcar, make sure that German is definitely gone, and then clamber down with the rifle and hand it over to Steak and look and sort of wrinkle his nose at the bloody covered German on the floor.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. This is the
Roll
doc.
him under the boxcar.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Well, hang on. Don't forget, loot the body.
just roll the body under the boxcar so he's not easily discovered. Because I imagine his friend will come back looking for him.
Jim's okay with blood. He just wished that his little distraction technique had worked. That's the only thing.
He had no time. The German got dragged underneath the boxcar before he could have done anything.
That's right.
Just very good.
Tuck him away.
So,
and we really need to get moving before he gets back, Corporal. Come on,
Yeah. So we'll all gather up again. I'm going to signal to Brewski and Puck to maintain position, and then I think it's time for us to hoof it across the road to the church.
Let's run over, yeah.
So you guys run across to this dilapidated church. You do your best to kind of duck down among the reeds and the tall grass. It's not 100% sure that anybody may or may not have seen you. I'm going to have the scout, who's the best in the infiltration department here, kind of lead everybody to the best route and have him roll an infiltrate roll. You don't get the bonus because you aren't standing still.
I shall blaze
there's a specialization called Silent Step that gives you that bonus if you were to upgrade your character.
3 6s.
Well, perfect. Yeah. Now, the first 6 gives you the ability to have successfully scouted. Additional 6s can either give you an extra lucky strike, or you can disperse it to your allies so that they don't have to roll.
Ooh. How bad are you guys at following stealthily?
I get 5 dice for sneaking. So
I've been working with the corporal for a while, so I know he's
6.
actually quite good. So I'm going to assume they're fine, and I'm just going to take my lucky strike that I spent back.
All right, so you're letting me roll 6 then?
Yeah, I'm letting you roll, Corporal.
Do I roll? Oh no, I'm fine.
No, he's fine because he can only ever have 2 lucky strikes. So
yeah. Okay. I get a 6.
All right.
I got a 6 as well. So
all right. So the corporal goes by a different route, but he still manages to sneak through. And in the game, I of course would be rolling on behalf of any Germans that are conspicuously, scouting out the area and perhaps looking through windows or areas that you haven't figured out. And if I get more 6s than you guys, then obviously they perceived you. As far as you know, that hasn't happened.
Oh, good.
No, we're fine.
You get to the edge of the church. The church is a Gothic structure, very tall spire. You can tell immediately that it has been heavily damaged by bombardment. There is a large side wooden door that looks like has come off of its hinges due to to the structural damage, and it looks like you can creep in there, and it's relatively dark inside from what you see in your vantage point.
Jim's going to look over at Steak and just go like, "Be my guest."
Corporal.
Yeah, the corporal's going to look around and go, "Look, if you find this guy, just tell him Minuet sent us, all right? Just say her name. It might calm him down. Let's sneak in, eh?"
His name, by the way, is Dubois. Dubois is the man's name.
Okay. We didn't get the little girl's name, so I just on the fly.
Yeah, Minuet is perfect. I think that's exactly what I had there.
Winky dink.
Well, the corporal's giving me a nod to go on in. So
yeah, and I'm waving to the medic to just hold back behind the scout, the stealthy scout.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna hunker down as close to the wall as possible, next to Slim, and he's gonna slip his pistol out of the holster just so he's got it ready just in case.
Okay.
The hell? Who gave you one of those?
Get up to the door.
Don't tell anybody.
Check around before I attempt to gain access to make sure that it's not precariously balanced or it's not going to fall on me if I attempt to get in past it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it's going to collapse. It looks like it's pretty stuck in, and it's just off of one hinge, and it's basically slightly ajar, and you can kind of creep your way in, just backside in, and then just creep in. The rest of you are going to stay on the outside, correct?
Well, we're waiting for the scout to signal that it's clear to move forward.
Okay.
Or at least I am.
Yeah.
This bloody card beside me.
I'm waiting with Slip. He's told us to wait. So
okay. So Steak Corbin creeps in. It's a dark interior. There's a lot of debris, fallen roof, shingles, entire sections of the roof. You can see the sky through it. There's a water draining down from the rooftops and basically echoing off the interior of this relatively large open space, which is the nave of the church. You see pews that have been demolished from the debris and the bombardment. There are some that are still intact, as are some statues that have fallen and statuaries. The best you can tell is probably a Lutheran church, actually. This place had been occupied in the latter half of the 19th century by the Germans. And so this is likely a remnant of their occupation previous to the war. So it looks completely empty of people.
What's the visibility like inside, though? I have no light, but there is some roof access for the moon.
Yes, the roof access allows the moon the moon is almost directly overhead at this particular point in the evening, and it does provide some illumination. You also see some like very faint shafts of light coming through. Oddly, one of the only remaining windows, which is one of the stained glass windows at the back side of the church, which has sort of a moonlight kind of slashing through and bringing in some illumination.
I'll put my hand back out through the doorway and sort of wave them in, and then I'll very slowly creep forward. Presumably, if we've come in through a side door, the main door is off to my right?
Correct. It is off to your right. There's another side entrance directly in front of you.
Okay.
And then, of course, the altar, as it were, or the crux of the nave, the cross, it would be to your left in the distance. As far as you know, I guess most of these guys would be somewhat religious in the 1940s. If there's going to be any kind of basement, it would probably be in the back of the church somewhere.
Sure. I'm going to, while I'm waiting on them coming in, start sweeping round to the right, keeping a low profile, check the front door, see if it's open or barricaded, then round, anti-clockwise, check the far door to make sure they're the same so that nobody's going to disturb us when we don't want to be disturbed.
Okay. Yeah, you creep around. The rest of you guys come in. Of course, you see what I described, and as the scout is making a reconnaissance of the interior, you do in fact see that the front door is massive, heavy, dense wood structurally. It is intact, and it is in fact somewhat barricaded. You see very, very heavy chains surrounding what would be the large doorknobs or handles of the door, and those chains are in a padlock. So it feels like it's most definitely secure. And as you reconnoiter to the far door, you see that it is intact. However, it doesn't appear to be locked in the same fashion as far as you can tell. There certainly are no chains, and there doesn't appear to be a normal lock. In fact, you wonder if there's maybe an iron gate outside, as far as you know, how you can keep a church like this secure without a lock, but you don't see one.
Okay. Potential entry point, but also a potential exit point.
Yeah. While that's happening, I think Slip's going to move to the center aisle, just hunker down and start looking to see if there's perhaps a blood trail or something that we can start to follow.
Okay. And how about Doc?
So Jim's gonna stick to Slip and just follow behind him. He's got the pistol out just in case because he's a bit worried, but he's just gonna stick with him. So.
Okay. Go ahead and make a perceptions roll there, Slip, and why not make it also as well for Talbot, Slim Jim Talbot. Cool. Both of you make some perception rolls there.
So 3 for me.
Hey, I got 2 6s but 2 1s, but the ones obviously don't matter. So that's 2
5 5 6.
2 6s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ben, your Doc Jim can get himself an extra lucky strike. He might need it, and both of you are able to see quite clearly that there are quite a lot of scuff marks and boot prints all across the center aisle. The center aisle is indeed filled with enough debris and sort of concrete and mortar dust that it enables you to be able to see any kind of movement that has happened in the recent history. And there appears to have been quite a few people that have come and gone into this structure after the fact that it was destroyed. It doesn't show any sign of a single person. It shows a sign of multiple people. Mm-hmm. And you do not find any trace of blood in the dust.
I'm going to wave the scout back towards us and just say, we were told the guy that came in here was wounded. There's no blood, and there's a lot of people that went through here. This feels like a trap.
So what do you suggest, Corporal? Do you want us to leave? Because,
I'm thinking
there's
we
a little
should...
girl on the other side of the river looking for her father.
She's not going to lie.
Just because he's wounded doesn't mean he's bleeding
That's
out
naive,
like a pig in a coat of britches.
She's not going to lie. She's a little girl.
All right, look, let's go check the sides as well, see if there's any signs of an injured person moving their way through here.
Jim's going to work his way towards the back where, as you were suggesting, there might be they would have thought maybe there's a basement access. So he's going to see if he can find that as he moves towards the back.
So you guys fan out. The doctor's going down the middle. We got a scout on the far right of the church, and then we've got the corporal on the far left. All right, Sounds good. The three of you are effectively moving toward the rear of the church.
Yep.
You continue to see quite a bit of dust and debris. Puddles have now marred some of the area because some of the larger holes are toward the altar, and puddles and water is still dripping and trickling down. And it starts to kind of rain ever so slightly as the clouds kind of open up and the rain starts to kind of pour down. And you've got, very, very atmospheric appearance of the rain crossing through, the back of a church and the crucifix and the altar and whatnot. And you end up not really finding any more evidence of any kind of blood or injury. However, the medic does come to the altar and recognizes that at the very back of the church, there are some of the areas that the pastor or the officiant would be emerging from, and that there are some back rooms, so to speak, and they appear to be very dark and very shall we say, empty of any kind of evidence that anybody is back there. But it is relatively dark, and it does appear that those would be potential locations for some sort of a basement. There's two, one on the left and one on the right.
Before Steak leaves the area, he's just going to take a look at some of the puddles and rain that's washing through, see if there's any sign of runoff in case there is any access here. Water is going to trickle down, so in case we're missing a covered entrance to the basement. And if there's no sort of visible sign of anything on the altar side, then push into...
Make a perception roll there, Scout. See what you do.
Okay. 5 whole dice. And 1 whole success.
Nice.
You got a success? All right. Yep. All right. Well, you do note that the water is trickling toward the lowest point, which a lot of the floor has been damaged, and it effectively just kind of trickles down into the debris and into the wooden structures from the ceiling. Mm-hmm. But what kind of catches your attention as you're looking at this is the fact that just off to the right of the rightmost alcove, where you have a perhaps office or some sort of a staging ground for the officiant, mm-hmm. there is a narrow hallway that stretches off in a slightly different and more forward direction toward one of the cross naves. But you know how the build, you can actually see it here. There's a lot of debris, but you do see space that kind of comes off toward this rightmost sort of portion of the structure. You're not sure, but it could very well lead to another exit or entrance point.
I'll signal that I'm going to check that area while the other two are looking at the sort of the alcoves or back rooms.
Jim will move over to the one more towards the left. Actually, which side was Slip on? I can't remember.
Slip's on the left.
Slip's on the far left.
Yeah. Okay, so Jim will move to that sort of alcove office room to the right and let just beckon to Slip that there's the other room over there. So
Slip will just very quietly sneak up to that and just motion to everyone to be as quiet as they can, just in case we hear anything.
Yes.
And you're off to the right. You're off. All three of you effectively are to the right. However, the scout is looking down the corridor that I just mentioned, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll be signaling that I'm going to go and explore that direction.
Yeah, so we're checking out the rooms while Steak spies out another entrance potentially. So
all right.
As soon as that's done, we'll probably follow after.
So Steak kind of goes alongside one of the narrow walls, and indeed it's a very short corridor, and it is sort of perhaps a maintenance entrance, mm-hmm. and you do indeed see a door that the corridor ends at. The corridor effectively ends at this door, and the door is wide open. And the breeze kind of comes through there. You can tell that it's an exterior door, and it is wide open for entrance or exit. Okay. In the meantime, the other two are approaching one of the dark alcoves that presents itself as sort of a staging area for the pastor or the minister or whatever it's called, and what you see is a room with a small, what appears to be in the dim light, and there's barely any light here. In fact, I would have to argue that there's not enough light to actually see by, because at this point the roof is enclosing this interior room, and I would have to tell you that you'd be searching with your hands. So I'm not sure what you want to do in terms of illumination.
I've got my flashlight, but I don't particularly want to use it just yet. So Jim's just going to say, he's going to look at Slip and then just shrug his shoulders and just say, Dubois, in like a whisper, and just be like, Dubois, and see if he hears anything.
Nice. Silence.
Jim's going to point to the flashlight and then look at Slip.
Slip's going to roll his eyes out and pull his flashlight out and just turn it on and shine it in. He's an impatient character, so be like, God damn it.
Jim rolls his eyes.
So the light is pretty bright in this very, very dark room. And you quickly are relieved to see that there appears to be no windows.
Well, it was completely dark. No light coming through.
Completely dark, no windows. So there's no windows. And what you see effectively is a couple of wardrobes, large structures like armoires for vestments. And there appears to be a desk, and there appears to be another door in addition to that. So that's kind of it. It's a very small room. You see that it's extremely congested. It looks like it might be just a quick office to change in and out of vestments, and that's the extent of it, except for that one door that seems to lead a little deeper into this alcove.
All right. Well, Slip's gonna turn his flashlight off, obviously. Sneak up to the door, put his ear to it, see if he can hear anything through it.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Jim's gonna see if he can get. Not gonna say anything, but he's gonna see if he can get Snake's attention and beckon him over to the door.
Okay. So I assume you guys are a well-oiled machine, and you're able to see the medic kind of signal you over, but you are standing at the wide open door, so I'm not sure if you want to do anything.
Well, once I discover it is just a door, an exterior exit, there's no other place for anyone to go, I'll just make my way back into the interior proper.
Okay.
To find out what the other pair of compatriots are up to.
All right. And Corporal, you're approaching that other door. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So I'm moving up to it and just putting my ear against it to see if I can hear anything through it. Maybe someone on the other side.
What is that? Hear noise in D&D, a 1 or a 2 on a D6? Is that what it is?
No idea. Thankfully, we're not playing D&D.
All right. Make a perception roll nevertheless.
So that'll be for...
If I know anything, there's always a shotgun attached to a trap on the other side of a closed door. That's
no successes, but no ones.
Okay. So you want to push your roll or not? It's up to
you. Yeah, why not? Nothing.
No,
but I did get a 1, so you do get a FUBAR.
FUBAR for me. FUBAR for me. There we go. Back to my max. All right.
We want to give you a chance, Gabe.
I got to start using these suckers. So you don't hear anything clearly, and you made your best effort. You're not sure if maybe it's just too quiet or there's nobody there.
Being an impatient sort, it's just like, it's empty, and so I'm just going to move in a little more confidently.
Nice. So you just bust open the door. It doesn't have any locking mechanism. It just opens up, and it's pretty dark. Again, it's even darker than before, if that is possible, because your eyes got momentarily adjusted to the light. So now it's got to readjust. You got to use your flashlight again, Mr. Impulsive?
I mean, there's zero light in the room again, so I assume there's no windows. So boom, off we go again.
All right, you turn it on, and it looks like what seems to be a cupboard room for eating. It looks like it's got like a counter. It looks like it's got some cupboards up on the top, and it even has a wash basin. And as you shine your flashlight, you do see that there is a trap door on the far corner of this kitchen/dining area. Maybe the stores of the church.
Yeah, I'll turn and hiss to the other guys. Hey, move it! I'll find the root cellar.
Cool.
All right.
Scamper in after him,
and obviously move up to it and just cover the flashlight with my hand, so that there is a little light, but less light in case there's anyone outside starting to search about. Because the German guy who chased the kid may have noticed that his friend is gone at some point.
Right.
So I don't want him to see like flashes of light coming from the church and coming in going, Fassies.
Right. Okay. So you cover the light, and so who's approaching? You're approaching the trap door.
Yep, moving up to the trapdoor.
And the dock is nearby. And how about the scout? What's the scout doing?
I'll be following them in. Obviously, I've seen constant Morse code as flashlights reflect on and off ahead of me. So I'll know something's up.
So you creep in and you covertly or semi-covertly with your light kind of pull up on what is an unlocked cellar door, and you shine your light down there, and it looks like a dank kind of a basement that probably is where they store whatever foodstuffs that they might need to store, or anything else for that matter. And it appears to have a few crates and a stool and what looks like a sort of countertop. And you immediately see a light bulb kind of just dangling off of a chain. And it looks perhaps otherwise abandoned, but your light is shining, and it looks to be relatively extensive, though not to the extent that it's really far in, but it looks a little bigger. It looks about the size of both rooms, and then a little bit more. And you hear movement.
Okay, just gonna hiss out Dubois. You
hear scurrying. You hear sort of a frantic scurrying in the corner behind some of the crates.
Does Jim know if there was any particular code words or phrases that the resistance uses that he could speak?
You can make a roll. The medic, of course, knows French, and you can do some insight.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll give that a go. Just in case he has a gun. He's going to shoot.
Just Sten gun sitting waiting for us.
Got 2 6s. So.
All right. So you know a few code words from your brief time that you spent in Paris, and you were able to pick up a few of the sort of phrases, and not really phrases, actually code names for particular operatives that were working in and around the Paris area, and you do recall those if you want to use those.
He'll chance his arm at it and see if that gets a response. So he'll just say one of the names that he can think off the top of his head, and then in the broken French that he does know, kind of like "we're here for you" kind of thing, Dubois kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see a pair of hands kind of creep out from behind some boxes, and you see a very disheveled, middle-aged man kind of just creeping about and just looking and saying, "Who are you? What, have you come to help me? Where's my daughter?"
She's safe. She's across the river in our camp. She sent us to get you. We hear you've got information from the resistance.
Yes, mon Dieu, she made it across the river?
Yes, she's safe.
Yes, but I cannot go. My leg is badly damaged. I cannot walk.
Jim will say in French, "Don't worry, I'll help you," and sort of starts scrambling down the stairs to him, and sort of shrugs his medical kit off his shoulder.
Okay.
I'm going to look to the scout and say, "Go get Brisky and Puck. We might need a big guy."
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You say,
have fun outside.
Before I leave, I will say you could probably ask him what the information is, just in case he doesn't make it back. It's that valuable. And I'll leave them with that and head back towards Puck and Brewski.
A steak thing to say. Yep.
Right.
Oh, I'm not saying we're definitely going to leave him here with his broken leg, but they shoot horses. So.
I mean, are you going to adopt his daughter? Is that how we're playing this?
That's what
you land back in the middle of America going, "Honey, I'm home. We're on a souvenir."
Nunneries.
The nunneries. There you go. What was her name again? Pirouette?
Minuet.
No point learning it. I'm never going to need to use it.
So Jim's going to get down there, and he's going to put on his flashlight and just point it into a corner so he can kind of illuminate but not dazzle anybody, and see what's up with our new pal Dubois. So
Okay. So you illuminate it. You see his leg. His leg appears to be pretty ravaged. There's a large gash. There's in fact two large gashes up along the backside of his thigh, right in the hamstring area. He may have torn a tendon, perhaps. He may have strained it. You're not 100% sure, but it looks like it could even possibly be infected at this stage. It's not a broken leg, but it certainly is a leg that requires attention. And you feel that you can probably create a sort of splint with some of the crates that are there and some of your gauze and bandages, and maybe make it to where he can walk with some assistance. Cool. And that's what we've got. Now you can start kind of putting that together, but I will tell you that as our intrepid scout Stake Corbin emerges into the main room of the church, the interior of the church, he stops short because just as there was an exit on the far right of the nave that he did see, there appears to have been another exit on the far left that was exactly on the opposite side. As you would imagine, architecturally, there's some symmetry there. And entering into that are several individuals that appear on first glance to be civilians. And they are all men, and they are numbering about 6. And then all of a sudden a 7th comes in. And the 7th one, and they're kind of fanning out, kind of surrounding Jim at a distance. Sorry, not Jim, Stake.
Yep.
At a distance, keeping the pews and the altar between the American scout and these 6 or 7 civilians. And one of them, the 7th one that enters, speaks in broken English, and he says, "Release that man to us. That man is a collaborator. You are not to take him. He must answer for his crimes."
So I take it you're the resistance.
Yes, of course. Why? Did he say he was? That is what he would say.
It is what he said. And you can understand how it will be difficult for us to hand him over in the state he's in to you if he is a member of the resistance. How can I know that you are what you say you are and he is what he says he is? And as I say that,
it would be an injustice for him to leave without being punished. He is responsible for the death of our children, our city, our families. Hand him over. It is what is right.
Well, you see, the thing about that is he has information that he says will help us take Metz back from the Germans. Do you happen to know what that is?
False and lies. That's all lies. He's just trying to save his hide. He's switching sides now that the war is bringing Metz liberation.
Well, unfortunately, I'm just a grunt, and this thing is well above my pay grade. But if he is what you say, is he will face punishment. But I'm not just going to hand him over.
All right. So we'll pause in that, and we'll come back to the basement where the medic is seeing to the healing. Now, in this game, I've never liked healing in 6 seconds. I think that's silly. So we roll a d6, and at least you have a chance of it taking a little longer than you'd think. So roll a d6 and see, how long it's going to take, and it's up to the GM to determine whether that's 10-minute turns for each one or 6-second turns, depending on the illness or the situation. How many did you roll?
So I rolled a 3. So
you rolled a 3. So this is going to take 3 segments of time, whatever that may be. And at this point, we're going to have you go ahead and make your roll. Actually, what we'll do is we'll have you make the roll after those 3 segments are passed. Whatever those 3 segments seem to be right for, the the predicament that guy's
Sure.
leg is in.
Yeah.
So you're busy working on it. You need the illumination. You need both hands. You've got the corporal kind of shining the flashlight on the wound, and you do hear, Corporal, some bit of conversation, unusually outside, above you in what it sounds like the hollows and the echoes of the main church. What do you do, Corporal?
First things first, I'm going to try and wedge my flashlight so it's just sitting shining in the general direction of where the wound is, so our medic still has light to work. No point making it hard for him.
Right.
And then I'm going to quietly make my way up and out of the root cellar, seeing what in the hell my incompetent scout has managed to get himself into this time.
Let him hear that.
So you emerge and you see the scene that I described. The scout is facing down what appears to be 7 individuals, and one of them seems to be their leader. And he approaches a little closer. His arms are splayed. It appears that they are not armed. However, of course, they appear to be also relatively cautious, seeing armed U.S. soldiers. And he says, essentially, he said to the scout, he wants you to release that individual. What say you?
I'm going to say to him, look, my orders are to take this man back across the river, all right? But what I can do is I can take a couple of your guys with us as well, so that if he is what you say he is, you can take him back to face punishment or punish him there. I don't really care.
All right, Corporal. So that seems like either a command or persuasion, and seeing as you have a point in each, I'm also going to award you 2 bonus points for it being somewhat acceptable and sort of reasonable an offer, and hopefully they'll see your logic in this. So you've got what, 4, 5, 6 dice?
6 total, yeah. And I'm going to fire in a lucky strike.
All right, 2 extra dice, 8 dice.
Because I think this can save us a world of hurt.
It's an awfully small dinghy, Corporal.
Okay, so I got no successes.
Oh,
and
no!
2 ones.
Told you those 8 dice rolls are
And so
just deadly.
I'm going to have to push it.
All right.
Or you said I could spend a lucky strike to re-roll all my dice, couldn't I?
You can spend the lucky strike and re-roll all of them and not count the ones. Now, I'll be transparent. I'm already maxed out in FUBAR, so the ones only prevent you from rolling those dice and having extra chances at success.
All right, I'll just push it.
Okay.
And I got 1 success.
Okay.
Out of 16 dice total. I got 1 success. The dice gods have turned.
So the Frenchman turns to his compatriot, speaks in French, and he says, "That is acceptable, and it shall be me, and my friend here, Alphonse, and my name is Renier. And unlike what your patient is saying, we are the resistance of Metz, and he is not. He has his information, and if he has it, it is through collaboration. So the rest of them kind of, fan back, and you hear them kind of departing from the church. However, as soon as the last of them departs, comes right back in, and he says, "We've got company." He says it in perfect English almost. "We've got company," and you hear distinct sound of a roar that can only be some sort of vehicle outside, not too close, but also not too far. I suggest you leave now.
All right. I'm going to turn to the scout and say, "Get down there, gag his ass, and let's get going."
I double time it.
All right. So we have got enough time for the medic to have worked his magic. So let's see those dice. We're going to have the doctor roll his medical aid, and he's got 8 dice because of his first aid. Let's see that happen. Oh, and you know what? You've got an extra 2 because you've got a med kit. So you got the right gear. 10 dice, man.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and there are 4 more. No successes so far, just so you're aware. I got 1 success out of all of that, so Jesus. Yeah.
So
you think you're sending the A team. Unfortunately, it's just the ass end with the Z team.
This is the B team. All right, so effectively, you've managed to splint him. It's a terrible, shoddy job, and he can stand and he can walk barely, but he's going to need to lean on somebody, and he's going to definitely slow you down.
Jim just says sorry in French, and then says just says, "Don't worry, I'll help you." in French to him as well.
What's sorry in French? Merde. I get to the top of the stairs. I go, "We've got to get out now."
All right.
And
Jim
walks.
just nods.
Otherwise, we drag him.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's having trouble getting up the steps alone. The medic's kind of getting him to shoulder him up and push him up, and he's kind of using his upper body strength to pull himself up.
I will lean down and drag him up if need be.
You're a big guy. Steak is not little. Steak is actually one of the stronger ones. And you're able to kind of just yank him up by his lapels and drag him up and out of the alcove and into the church. The bulk of you, or the 3 of you, with the target and the 2 Frenchmen are now at the side door, and the Frenchmen basically are signaling that it is imperative that you leave immediately, and in fact, a lot of them, the 2 of them that have stuck with you, are just outside the door, frantically looking left and right, and in fact, they're signaling that that whatever noise, whatever vehicle is coming, it's the Germans. They're here. They're moving around with their vehicles behind the hospital. And so you had pretty much memorized the city plan, the map of the city, and the hospital is, as you can see, just behind the church. So you can hear as you emerge, just your heads coming out of the door, you can hear that whatever is moving along the right side here behind the church.
As soon as they say it's coming from the hospital, I book it across the interior of the church, back down that little narrow corridor to the door on the right. Pin out a grenade and chuck it out towards, roughly in the street towards the hospital direction, but not actually aiming at a building.
Molianda Road or whatever.
Well, no, more to the left towards the hospital.
Issel?
And then back
out here.
Yeah, and then back
down the main road.
Yeah, back towards those guys. Hopefully, it will at least put the pause on them. And while they're trying to decide what to do or how to flank the church, we can be already dragging half-dead Frenchmen back to the dinghy.
Okay. All right. So you pull the grenades pin and you kind of slide it down this main road here, this main thoroughfare, so that it doesn't.
God, I wish I learned how to play baseball.
Look, I left a bat back in Missouri. I'm sorry.
So you lob it through. Now, do you stick around to see the explosion, or you just bolt it back?
Bolt it back. I don't care. I want them to think we're holed up in here if needs be.
Okay. So you bolt it back across the nave, and you're on the other side. And when the explosion goes off, a large bang, a large explosion. And you know for a fact that whatever's out there would definitely have heard it, and you're going to effectively emerge just at the left side of this nave on a small door that overlooks this open grassy field and these 2 boxcars. You do see your 2 compatriots as well, Puck and Brewski, over in the other rail car, and they appear alert. They also have apparently heard the motor of whatever vehicle is approaching, and that's the situation. So what's the plan?
Just as we're about to run out there at the word of our intrepid leader, Jim's going to turn to the two Frenchmen who are with him, who he's seen, and he's going to say in French to them, "You help us, or we're all dead," and like point to Dubois to be like, "Help me carry him," kind of thing. So,
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So at this point, we're going to move to, I believe we're going to move to rounds, and we're going to move to initiatives, as it were. And you guys emerge, and are you guys going to begin trekking it across the open field? Is that the game plan? And what direction are you going?
I'm thinking hoof it for the boxcar.
The left one or the one straight ahead?
Whichever one's nearest. Basically, I want to get my ass into cover as quick as I can.
Okay. All right, give me 1 second here. We're gonna go ahead
take up the rear. So
who's carrying Mr. Dubois?
Jim's carrying him, and he's hoping that the other two Frenchmen are going to help him.
Why would they not? They're all members of the resistance together.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, give me 1 second here. We're going to zoom in and out and see if I can pull some of these suckers out of here. So as you are emerging, we're going to pull initiatives in just a second, but one of the things that you see is, or hear actually, is the immediate barking of what sound like German shepherds.
Ah, God damn it.
And we're gonna do some initiatives here. Let's do some initiatives. And we're gonna take the cards, we're gonna shuffle them all up, and we're gonna draw some stuff here. State Corbin. Corbin is our scout with our fantastic double initiative. And we've got Private Doc and Slip Kincaid. You've got another couple of initiatives to play, and we are ready to rock and roll. State Corbin gets himself a 6 and an ace, so he gets to act first in this initiative round. What you do see as you emerge and start to make your way across the open field is rounding the corner near the hospital are what appear to be two rather large German shepherds that are barking like mad and clearly have seen each and every one of you and are running full pelt toward the group. And you hear some German yelling in the background, probably soldiers that have been alerted to your presence.
I drop to one knee and take a shot at the closest oncoming dog.
Okay. All right. So if you're taking your fast action to simply drop to a knee, that's a free action. You can take a fast action to aim, which would give you an extra die. So that is a possible choice you may have. Or you can take a fast action to shoot and then move.
I'm going to drop to a knee, because just because the dogs are coming doesn't mean that gunfire won't be far behind it. I'd much rather present a smaller target.
Okay. So you're gonna use the slow action to shoot. You said you are. Or you're not gonna aim, so you can still have a fast action.
Not gonna aim. So just
not gonna aim. Okay.
And fire.
Okay, so you got your carbine and you've got your agility 4, range combat 2. That's going to give you 6 dice. If you shoot 1 bullet, it gives you a 7th die. If you expend half your ammo, you get an extra 2 dice, so you get 8 dice. No. There is a bit of darkness penalty and fast moving target -2 to whatever you choose.
No, I'm gonna stick with a single shot right now. So -2 die. So it brings me back down to 5.
That'll be down to 5. And you don't have any specializations that gives you extra bonuses. So 5 dice shooting at the dog.
1 success.
1 success. 1d10. Your carbine gives you a +1. Roll it.
9.
Wow. The dog just just cartwheels into the grass and doesn't move anymore. Well done.
Wow.
And your fast action, sir?
I'm going to hold an aim at the corner, actually, because if I'm the last one out, I'm more likely to get back to the boxcar. But
Okay.
I don't want to turn my back at the moment.
So okay. So if you take there's no mechanic for that. I mean, there is an Overwatch, which would require you to spend your fast action and leave your slow action for a later portion of the round. But you've already used your slow action, so technically you wouldn't be able to go on Overwatch.
Well, that's fine.
There is a slow aim where you get an additional +1 if you spend a slow action aiming on one round, and the next round's fast action aiming as well. Okay. You get 2 dice, which is a slow aim, kind of sniper-like. But the way you've got it situated, your fast action is really kind of going to go wasted.
I'm fine with that. I'm all good.
Okay.
We're all fine here.
Fair enough. All right. So moving to the next initiative, we have the actual dogs at initiative 2. And the dogs at initiative 2 are going to close the distance. And these dogs are effectively moving rather rapidly. While they are not going to get to attack this round, they will attack the very next round because they've closed that much of the gap. The other dog, of course, is not moving. So you've got one dog that is hot on the heels of the medic carrying the injured partisan / collaborator. So that is their initiative. We move to initiative 5, which is none other than Corporal Kincaid. So Corporal.
Moving out from the church, seeing this attack dog charging at us, is basically going to take his Thompson and let off a burst, just going, down, boy.
All right. So with the burst, you've got yourself an agility 5, range combat 2, that's 7 dice. And the burst gives you an extra 3, so that's 10 dice, minus a fast moving and dark target, it's -2, so down to 8 dice, and you're going to expend 6 bullets of your 30 in the box.
Mm-hmm. So let's 2 successes.
2 successes, fantastic. You can either gain a lucky strike or you can spend it at a +1 to your already +2 to damage due to the Thompson having a +2. So you can either get +3 to damage or +2 and get a lucky strike.
I'll go +2 and take the lucky strike back because I think I may need it for what's coming later.
You know what? There's also a third option, which is important in combat, and that is you can spend an extra success to be able to draw an additional initiative card on the next round and choose which one you prefer.
Nice.
I will take that. That is an excellent choice.
All right. So choosing to act faster in the next round, and you will roll a d10 and add 2 for damaging the dog.
Okay. The one thing I didn't bring with me was a d10. I was told this was a d6 system. Please, Gerry.
You're not going to like what I've rolled.
Oh, dear.
Well, it's a 3.
Well, 3 + 2 is 1 wound. You've managed to nick the dog, but the dog is going to continue coming. You hear him yelp for just a moment, and he's been well trained by those Germans, so he's going to continue running full pelt toward you all. Well done, slightly. And we move on over to the next initiative, which sadly is not our medic. And you know what? I forgot to draw for Brewski and his compatriot. And we'll actually have them act first and provide some firepower as well. However, what really surprises you at this point is that they're firing in a completely opposite direction from where you are evading. They are firing in the direction of the front of the church.
Great, more friends. Yep.
So they are firing in that direction, and it can only be suppressing fire because he's pretty much unloading with his bar and really letting loose at this point. And you hear some pot shots from the carbine that, or not the carbine. He's got a full M1 Garand that Puck is carrying as well. So it seems like there are also some potential enemies there on the front of the church. We move on over to the sound of the vehicle getting louder. And that's all I can tell you. The sound of the vehicle is getting roaring and loud, and appears to kind of have a very loud sort of engine that sort of whines. Though you don't see any lights, which is appropriate considering the fact that this whole area has been bombarded and lights out are the main orders. Initiative 10, the doctor. Possibly weighed down by
I think so. Yeah.
his patient, you now get to activate. What would you like to do? You will slow to the extent that you're moving effectively at half pace since you rolled so poorly on your medical skills.
So Jim's going to try and hoof it as quickly as he can with Dubois on his shoulder towards the point where my good old friend Slip pointed out. I reckon he's still got the pistol out. Well, no, he probably would have put it away. But yeah, he's going to, since he sees that the other dog is still coming, he's going to take a shot at the dog that's still charging towards them across the open ground.
Okay. You've managed to come across roughly the halfway point, just about there, under the letter R of church, as you're trying to make it to that rail car. And as you move across, Doc, you do see over your shoulder that there appears to be some movement along the front of the church by some ruined statuary. There's a sort of what was a fountain at one point, and there's broken statues as far as you can tell from the moonlight. But there's definitely some movement as the shooting from your compatriots in the rail car, Brewski and company. They are shooting in the direction of that dilapidated fountain. So you are in what would be otherwise their line of fire, if indeed they are what you think they are, German patrols.
In Jim's mind, Brewski's got this. He's laying down cover and fire. This is all fine. He's going to look behind him and take a shot at the dog that's running towards his buddies.
Okay. So you got your pistol. At this point, it is a bit of a longer range from where the dog is. So we're going to have a -3 due to movement, darkness, and the range being a little further for the pistol. So you've got yourself a ranged attack of 6 + 1 if you choose to not unload half your bullets. Or are you going to bang, bang, bang 3 shots? That'll give you an extra die.
I mean, it's party time.
Yeah, I'll go for the extra. Yeah,
rapid fire. Okay, so you've got 6, 7, 8 -3, 5 dice.
Okay. Cool. So I got a 6. So that's at least one success. That's all good.
All right.
Yeah.
So you got your D10. Your pistol only gives you a +1 to damage. It is just a pistol after all, but you got your D10 and add 1, sir.
That is 11.
Whoa!
Yeah.
We
That
hate
dog
dogs.
is-
It's important to know this. German Wehrmacht, we don't mind so much, but dogs, more of cat people, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, the dog is absolutely shredded. The pistol shots probably zeroed in. You fired 3 rounds, and I think all 3 rounds just completely obliterated the dog. It's just a big red splotch of fur. And
In the moment when he sees the dog tumble over, Jim kind of like looks at his pistol and like, what the? And just keep bucking it. He can't quite believe he did it. So.
It's like, it's not a person. It's fine by Geneva.
That's right. All right, new initiative round, gentlemen. New initiative round. Let's put all these cards back because we like to change things up here. Meanwhile, the French are running. The French are just running for their lives. They are running in the direction that you guys are running in. In fact, they do recognize that there are a couple of GIs in the rail car, and they're running not obviously in the line of fire of the rail car, but just slightly to the right of it. They look like they want to skirt around the back end of it. All right. So we've got Corbin. We've got Corporal, who now has an extra card, correct, Corporal?
Yes.
Wow, look at the card you just got dealt. How about that? So here we have those guys, and we have these guys, and I think that's all we really need. You know what's interesting is I'm going to have to figure out a mechanic for when everybody's got extra cards, and it's going to run out of 10 cards. That's going to be a little weird. It might be where you need to have 2 sets of 10 cards. Maybe that might be the solution. Okay, no worries. We have our corporal with a 4 and an ace. His second card, thanks to that special D6 you turned in extra in lieu of a lucky strike. Let's see if you won't regret that later. What are you doing with your ace initiative, sir?
Well, first thing, I'm going to start running across the road. But just before I run, I'm going to turn and lob one of my grenades at the statue that Puck and Brewski are firing at. Just to try and keep their heads down. Just calm the situation down a little bit with high explosives.
So running across and lobbing a grenade across what appears to be about roughly 35 yards. It's almost almost in what's called long range. But we're going to go ahead and say, let's see, where are you here? Jacob, Steak, Corbin. For grenades, it's not considered a ranged combat. We're actually considering it calisthenics. Because it's kind of a throwing skill. So we kind of wanted to differentiate certain things. We have heavy weapons for the stuff that really requires strength to maintain a steady shot, such as large machine guns and whatnot. We have regular range combat, which is the bulk of most firearms, but grenades are calisthenics. So we're going to have you have 4 dice from your strength, 1 dice from calisthenics. Grenades do not give you an inherent bonus one way or the other. Still play testing that. Would love to hear what you guys think, if it should give you a +1, because it might be easier to lob a grenade or whatnot. But at the moment, you've got yourself 5 dice. I'm going to say that the range is what's going to take away one of them. Of course, a 4 dice is not very easy to get a success in. If you fail, it doesn't mean that you drop the grenade right next to you. It just means it'll deviate in a different direction and perhaps not do as much damage.
Gotcha.
So 4 dice, go for it.
That'll be a no. Am I still allowed to push it?
Okay. Any ones in there?
None.
Okay. So
your hand doesn't come off. That's good.
And none and a single 1.
A single 1. Now, interestingly, I haven't really required this because we're just, fooling around with a little bit of a play test here, and I can't really see your dice anyway. But normally, just FYI, you would, as in many Year Zero games, you would roll the gear or weapon dice as a separate color. And if the separately colored die, i.e. your gear dice, your weapon dice, turns up a 1 on a push your luck, the GM then has the opportunity to spend that FUBAR that he would have otherwise gotten for a weapon mishap. So I can only assume you did not roll separate colored dice. Yes, I assume they're all the same, right? Because I never said
black.
Yeah, so we'll just assume that it was a clear miss, and I'm not going to necessarily cause a weapon mishap.
You are a wise and benevolent GM.
That would be very, very bad. I am gonna say though that the thing lobs and it simply doesn't go off. We'll call it that. It simply doesn't go off. It's literally a dud, and it just kind of bounces around in what would have been the prime center of the fountain, as it were. Right in the middle. It was.
God damn it! I forgot to pull the pin.
Yes, in fact, that's likely what happened. That sounds about right. So that is your ace initiative, a lobbed grenade that unfortunately did not have the effect you wished. We have our scout. Steak has got a 3 and a 5, and so he gets to go next. What are you doing?
Okay, I start pulling back towards the rest of the compatriots. Actually, I start to pull back towards Slim, because Slim looks like he's struggling under the weight, and those damn Frenchies aren't helping at all.
No, they just ran off. God damn it.
And as I pull back in his direction, I shout, "Corporal, use the flare!"
Nice. Okay. So in fact, as I understood it, you had prior to this round fired at the dog, and you hadn't actually moved a whole lot.
No.
So you are now
was
basically
stationary from where I was. So
right. you were catching up with them. And I'm going to go ahead and rule that the corporal had gotten a little bit further because he's not carrying anybody. He did have to lob the grenade, but I'll say the corporal moved up. You're going to be roughly parallel with the medic, as you see here. And I don't even know if I'm moving the right guys. It's so
That's
small.
right.
But that's okay.
We get the idea.
We get the idea. I don't know if I'm moving them in the direction you like. I'm assuming that's okay, but I also am worried about the crossfire.
Well, I was about to say, at no point will I ever want to run between the bar and the fountain.
Yeah, we're making sure we take our target towards the back of that car.
Yeah.
My assumption would be that Puck and Brewski probably got on the roof of the boxcar, so they're fit to shoot over our heads.
Okay,
it's very bad to make assumptions like that.
True.
It's you know what? On an odd they did, on an even they don't. So we're going to say odd. I'm sorry, they're taking cover from the actual kind of doors of the rail
Damn it,
car.
Brewski.
Now, actually, one of the interesting things that we haven't done in this game, and it is going to feature in the final rule set, is these guys like Brewski and Puck are what I'm calling background characters, BCs, as it were. Mm-hmm. And so background characters are going to serve a couple of purposes. Number one, they're going to sort of bring to life the personalities beyond the players that are part of the platoon or the company. Invariably, these guys are not going to be operating in 3 or 4 man units all the time. And so you're going to have these background characters that you collectively not just make, but what we haven't really done here, except just now, is you can control them. And indeed, I probably should not have rolled. I probably should have just let the corporal dictate the control. And no, but to be fair, that's the rule that I'm going to try to make in the game, so that you have some ownership of these guys, because of the second reason that they're important. If you biff it and you die, you can elevate one of these guys that you've been playing over the course of a campaign, and they could become full-fledged characters should you so choose. So that's going to be a kind of mechanic in the game that I'd like to feature, and these guys, Puck and Brewski, would definitely qualify as background characters. So they're on the rooftop. That's exactly what you would have done. They're on the roof. They're showering. Of course, they have zero cover, but they are laying on their bellies, I would imagine, and taking shots and being in cover just strictly because they're on their bellies there on the roof of the rail car. So that was Corporal. You moved up, and what else would you like to do with your slow action, Corporal? You turn around and you do see about 3 Germans coming around the corner from where the dogs were, and they're crouching down, and they look like they're obviously well armed, and they've got some cover with some of the structures besides the hospital. It looks like 2 of them are going to run full pelt across the grass, looking to get to the other rail car. So there's 5 in total, 3 in cover and 2 running across the open field.
Sorry, I'm a little confused. Whose initiative was it? Was it not Gerry's?
I think it's mine.
Yeah. It's Corporal Kincaid. Yeah, slip. Oh, sorry. No, you're right.
Steak.
It is steak. It is steak this time. My bad.
Can I reach Dubois and Doc?
Yes, you have indeed reached them.
If I reach them, then I'm going to heave Dubois over my shoulder.
Okay.
I'm not a tiny slip of a medic.
You're not a guy named Slim Jim.
No, I am not. And this has another added benefit that if they fire at me, they may hit Dubois. So, you know.
Yes,
if they hit us both, nobody
improvise
gets
armor.
out. If they just hit him, I've still got a chance.
Right. Perfect. So very good. You heave him up onto you, carrying body counts as 6 items, which means, of course, you're going to be encumbered.
Sure.
And being encumbered effectively means that you're going to start soon rolling for stamina checks, or you start getting fatigue damage. So we'll start doing that in a little bit. you'll be able to do it for a few rounds without having to worry about it, but we'll see how far you can carry this guy.
Get him out of the line of fire. That's good enough. Then I can dump him on his ass.
Okay. So we then have the Germans. The Germans have initiative 8. And we've got the Germans, as I've said, there's going to be 3 Germans that are going to be taking up positions in cover. They are at a long enough distance that they're beyond medium range, which is going to give them a -1. But actually, beyond short range, they're going to get a -1 for being in medium range. And they're furthermore going to have a -1 for moving target and -1 for darkness. So they're ultimately going to be suffering 3 damage or 3 dice reduction. So the Germans are going to have their typical agility. They're going to have some training in their guns, and they're going to have their actual weapon, which is going to afford them a number of dice. And it seems that they're aiming to shoot and kill. They're not doing any suppressive fire, which we've yet to see the mechanic for suppression. But I'll try to see if I sneak that in there with Brewski's next initiative. This is a mechanic that is also optional for a GM to use. I'm going to use it right now. I could roll for all 3 Germans individually and go one at a time, and that's pretty deadly, and that's also time consuming. What I could opt to do, which is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to have one die roll represent all 3 Germans shooting simultaneously. And it's not as effective a shot because they're not going to get as many die rolls. But what effectively it means is that you're going to have the 6 core dice that the Germans are going to roll, and they're going to get 1 additional die for each helper. In year 0, of course, help gives you an extra dice. So they're rolling 8 dice. -3 because of all the factors that I already mentioned. We're down to 5 dice. If they get 6s here, and you know what, I'm going to spend a FUBAR to roll 2 more dice. If they get 6s here, multiple 6s mean multiple targets rather than one target getting hit like with bonuses.
Right.
If they indeed have multiple targets available, which in this case they do. So here we go. Germans, bang, 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 1-6. 1-6, and we're going to say that the 3, how shall we say, there's 4 targets, right? 4 targets, because we've got a guy on your back, and what we'll do is, and there's 2 Frenchmen technically, so we'll go ahead and include them. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 for the 3 PCs, 4 for the injured guy on your back, and 5 and 6 for the Frenchman. Oh, Frenchman got biffed. And a Frenchman gets a D10 rolled against him and gets a +2 modifier. No, it's +1. Frenchman goes down in a yelping scream, and he stumbles onto the grass. He's still crawling, but it appears that he's been hit with German fire, and a lot of bullets are whizzing over your heads. There's 2 more Germans that have run and are nearly at the other rail car. They will arrive at the other rail car in the next round. Meanwhile, the Germans in the fountain are keeping their heads down due to the withering fire from the bar. Though you see one arm lob a grenade back in your general direction. So we're going to roll that grenade, and we're going to say that it is similarly going to have the same difficulties to hit as you had. And I failed to roll, but I have lots of FUBARs. I'm re-rolling those
Don't know who gave that to you.
and doing it. No, another fail. 3 2s. I added up to 6, but no individual.
Haul ass, Jim. Don't look back. Leave the French.
So the grenade is technically going to deviate, and there's you can roll the random direction of the grenade and do a clockwise 1 2 3 4 5 6. And I actually ended up rolling to the point where the grenade falls short and to the left, right about at the bottom of the letter C where I'm pointing to here. And the thing goes off, and it's potentially going to do some damage to the 2 guys on board, or actually they're up on the top. So the grenade goes off, they recoil back, and there's quite a bit of shrapnel that hits the interior of the rail car. But thankfully, the corporal told them to get onto the roof of the rail car.
Good plan.
So, last but not least are the Frenchmen, and the Frenchmen continue running. The one lone Frenchman has abandoned his fallen comrade and has made it to the rear of the rail car and is yelling in French at the two GIs that are on the top who don't understand him. He seems to be asking, where do we go? So, the rumbling engine is right around the corner. Right, it's gotta be, right? I mean, it's right around the corner. It's super loud at this point. That thing is winding its way through the dark alleys, and it's no bueno.
We've all seen action. When you say rumbling sound, are we saying Kettengrat? Or
no, it sounds like the engine block of what sounds like a half track.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little better.
Well, I don't know, because those things can have what?
That has a machine gun on
maybe,
it. Maybe.
Well, it can have maybe like 3 on it.
Yeah.
All right, next initiative round. We've got the Scout has 2. This time Corporal's back down to 1. And we've got the Germans and the Doctor, and we've got the Frenchman. And we're going to give one more initiative to a little something else, right? A little half track that might be emerging at this point in the juncture of the game. As you would imagine, State Corbin has once again managed to get himself the ace. He had the ace and the 5. You get the first initiative, sir.
Okay. As I run towards the boxcar, can I fire one-handed just to attempt to suppress the people at the other boxcar? I don't even care if it's hitting anybody, just
correct
in their direction as I go.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that is one of the rules I wanted to showcase, the suppression fire. So what you've got, of course, is your carbine, and your carbine can fire suppression, but it is not an automatic weapon, and as such, you effectively have to unload with it. You must have at least half of your ammo left, which you do because you've only shot a dog. And so you're going to effectively drop the rest of your bullets just in a crazy display of firepower in toward that direction. You're going to get your base dice +3. So basically 6 + 3 is 9. It is still the cover of darkness to effectively target those areas. They're not moving because they're kind of approaching the rail car. So you only have a -1. Now, here's the rule. You got 8 dice. If you succeed and roll a 6 or more 6s, you force a guts check on the enemy that if they fail, they cannot do anything but seek cover.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Before I click, do I need to make the encumbrance test for Dubois on my shoulder now, or
not just yet? Not just yet. You still got the strength to be able to do it, so you're okay.
So I'm going to go and chuck a dice on the floor. So I'm starting with 7 because of the -1.
You're starting with 6 and then +3 because of the rapid fire, so that's 9, and -1 for the darkness, so that's 8.
Down to 8. I could spend a lucky strike to get an additional 2.
You can. You know what? I'm gonna be, truthful here. It's gonna have to be one more deduction because you got a guy over your shoulder. That can't be a friend.
It can't be. Yeah.
So we're gonna call it 7, and if you want to spend a lucky strike for 2 more, you can.
I will.
All right. So 9 dice,
7,
shooting
9
to
dice.
suppress, unloading your clip, and firing at the opposite rail car.
That wasn't great.
Those are terrible dice, man.
No, they really are. They really are the worst.
It's just a terrible Gerry. This happens a lot around here.
This does happen a lot. I'm going to spend my last lucky strike to re-roll because I don't want you to have those ones. There's a lot of ones shining up at me there. So,
and I only had four FUBARs. I wanted to juice them up again, man.
Terrible. That's better. Not ideal, but better, certainly. 3 6s, 2 1s.
Okay. So I got two FUBARs because you did roll ones.
Yep.
And none of the were now again.
Well,
I'd ask.
no, because he wasn't pushing it. He was using the lucky strike to reroll.
Oh, true. We have yet to come to a decision on that. We've yet to come to a decision on ignoring the initial ones, or do you ignore all ones? Don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I was working on the principle ignore the initial ones because that would have been another 3. And at this point, I will take anything I can get.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So you guys feel the GM should get the FUBARs?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think so.
The lucky strike is really overpowered, I think.
Yeah.
So so then I got myself 2 FUBARs. Now you got 3 6s. Now what that's going to cause is going to cause a -2 because every additional 6. Now you have the choice actually. For every additional 6, you can either impose a -1 to their guts check, or you can get back yourself a lucky strike.
-1 to the guts check.
Okay, so for each one, you're going to make them do a -2 for their guts check. All right, that's fair enough. So that's the effect of that. Additionally, there is an optional rule that I'd like to get your opinion on, and we're still playtesting it. I always felt like suppression, you're not shooting to kill, but you might still hit somebody, can't you? Right? I mean, am I right? So the optional rule is a lucky hit is where you take the 3 6s that you just rolled and you re-roll them and see if you get another 6.
Oh.
Don't know if that's too much crunch. It might be too much crunch for some folks. But
I would be amused to do it because it's me, and we know that will just come up 3 1s anyway.
Well, ones at this point won't matter. It's just if you roll an extra 6. So roll those.
2
you
2
did not.
2.
So no lucky hit. I figure it's going to be hard to do that, but it might happen.
It's interesting though. Especially when there's a big squad of people and you're suppressing with something huge.
And it does engineer that sort of chaos of war.
Yeah. Here's the suppression roll. These guys are immoral, sort of down on their morale. I was going to say immoralized.
Demoralized.
We're going to roll that. They do have. I'm going to roll them collectively. Okay. Sure. They have 3 willpower, 1 guts, so they have 4 dice. Just to show you the ins and outs of how it works. They have an ally next to them, so that's 5 dice. But now you're imposing a -2 because you had 3 extra successes to your suppression. I roll 3 dice and I get no 6s. I have so much FUBAR that I'm going to burn it and roll it again. And I got 2 6s. So they are disregarding your suppression fire. Now, that is also an element of the rule that I wanted to showcase. This part is fairly important. It's one of the crunchier elements of the game, and I think people that are into World War II will appreciate it. If you lay down suppression and the opposing enemy, even characters, if somebody is suppressing you and you succeed on your guts check, you can opt to go into the firing lane, the path of fire, the corridor of fire. If you do, you need to make a nimble check, and if you fail that, you do get hit.
You go full Lieutenant Winters.
Yes.
Boy, just through the middle of everybody.
Was it not Spears?
Oh, Spears,
right.
Yeah.
So these guys have passed their guts check, and I have, as the GM, the option to say, screw it, I'm going to pop my head up out of that cover and I'm going to shoot at you, but now I'm going to need to take a nimble check or I might get hit. Now, if they're in cover, of course, the body location might be important. And if it's just their head and arms and you roll the body location of arm or legs or whatever, then the cover kind of protects them anyway. But that's your firing action, and that was our first initiative with a little explanation. We have the rumbling half track coming at initiative 2, and gentlemen, it roars into position, and we are going to move it to where you can see, and it is going to come around the corner. And I think you should be able to see it now.
Yeah, it's at the top of the hospital.
Okay, just around the edge of this hospital over here, you see what looks like in the darkness the rumbling sounds of a half track. It has very, very thin slits of illumination from their headlamps so that they can at least see a little bit of where they're going while still maintaining a little bit of covert operations. And these two narrow little eyes looking things coming like beaming lights at you as it rounds the corner, and it starts to become aware of exactly where you are. It looks like it's the individuals that are on top. You see a little bit of motion, but certainly at that distance, not enough to be able to discern numbers. You get the sense that they're trying to bear down and determine exactly where their targets are. At the moment, it's not firing.
Long may that continue.
All right. We're going to go to initiative 6. And initiative 6 is the Frenchman. The lone Frenchman is running all the way to the river. He's running straight to the river. He doesn't know probably where he's going, but he is aware of the fact that you must have come across on a boat since the Americans are on the opposite side. So that is the action of the lone Frenchman. We have our allies on top of the rail car, Brewski and Puck. Who would like to tell me what they're doing?
Go on, Corporal.
Go for it, Corporal.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would assume them hearing the sound of an engine and seeing it rumbling around the corner, they would probably turn the bar's suppressive firepower onto the vehicle that just turned up. Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and roll that bar with full suppression and firing some bursts over there. And
I will guys.
A lot.
Well, I'm going to miss Bruce. I never really got to know Puck.
Puck owes me $20. You better get on the boat.
Puck got no successes with a bunch of dice, man. None. He's firing, and there are no successes to speak of. He is effectively tearing up the ground in front of the half track, but not hitting any particular target. However, the guys in front that are in cover do duck as the bullets kind of just go whizzing right over their heads. So there is a potential there. I'm going to roll it anyway. Well, no, they succeed on that as well. So it doesn't look like they are suppressed because they were in the line of fire per se. So that is them. How about Puck? What's he doing? I mean, he's there too. He can fire the carbine at the fountain perhaps, or?
Yeah, he'd probably keep the M1 on the fountain, just keep those guys heads down. Okay.
He's been pinging them one at a time. He's got about 5 shots left. Do you want him to go all 3 and unload with suppressive fire?
Tell you what, let's have him aim for his quick action and then try and ping one in the head.
Okay, that sounds a little bit better. He's got one, and a 9 and a +1, 10. Another guy biffs it as the German gets hit square in the neck, and blood splatters out onto the fountain's destroyed statuary.
Springfield.
Yeah, collapses in his sprawling death. So we move on over to then the medic, because believe it or not, Corporal Kincaid scored a 10 on his card this time. Medic, initiative 8. What are you doing?
So has Stake been able to make it further towards the train car, or did he have to stop to take the shots with the?
No, he in fact told me he was moving across.
Running and firing.
So he is indeed at the corner when he unloaded at the Germans who are on the rear section of that rail car, and keeping their heads down, seemingly.
Okay, so now freed of his burden. Jim, where's the downed Frenchman, the one who got shot?
He's just beside the scout at the back of the rail car.
Is he still yelling and like?
He's crawling and he's not yelling anymore, but you do see him crawling.
Okay. Well, Jim's going to run towards him and try and like grab the back of his like shirt and drag him further across the rails towards the other side. Because he's not going to leave him behind. If he
because you're merciful, right?
Yeah.
And naive.
Fantastic.
Saves everyone.
So you see as you approach him that he's been hit across the rib cage near the side of his sort of on the back side of the ribs, and you're not sure if the bullet's still inside or if it went and cleared on through to the opposite side and exited the wound. So you're not 100% sure. It's too dark to tell.
In Jim's mind, he's just gonna grab him and sort it out later. So he's moved and he's gonna try and drag him with him if he can.
Okay. Should any roll be required, your merciful virtue will give you an extra die in that regard. So that should work in your favor.
Do you want me to take like a strength calisthenics roll or something to see if I can heave him a little bit further, perhaps?
Yeah, let's do that. Strength calisthenics, you got 5 dice and you get an extra die for your merciful work there.
3 sixes.
3 sixes. Well then. Yeah. You not only heaved them, you're able to get him to get up on his feet. And in fact, getting him up on his feet enables you to go a bit more of a distance, and you're able to come across almost to the edge of the rail lines. And within sight, sir, within sight of the dinghy.
As he does that, Jim like shouts in his ear in French, "See, I told you, we help, we all live."
So he says thank you in very, very broken English. Probably the only thing he knows to speak. This is not the guy who's been speaking on behalf of the Frenchman. He's already by the shore. So we turn now to our Corporal Roger Slipshod Kincaid. Mm-hmm. What do you do, Corporal? You're in the midst of the field there, and everyone's run off in the distance.
Basically, I'm just going to work my way to catch up with them as quickly as I can, unhooking another lovely grenade from my belt, and I'm going to underarm lob it towards the corner of the boxcar where the Germans are hiding.
Okay.
Aiming to just have it land slightly past.
This is why he can never be a baseball player. He throws it underarm. That's the...
That's why it didn't work.
He's soft pitching. That's
awesome.
I am lowballing it for them.
That's awesome. Yeah, and not that this is a campaign, and I wouldn't want you to do this now, but if you're scratching for a thing to get an XP, you'd say I impatiently do it to where I take myself a penalty. I need to get a die penalty because you impatiently do it, and then you assure yourself an XP at the end, and you can start upgrading your character. But I assume you're not doing that. You've got 5 dice, and you go ahead and roll them, man.
I get 2 successes.
2 successes. +1 to damage or 1 extra lucky strike?
I've still got a lucky strike, so let's go with the damage. And I have, by the power of the internet, magicked up a D10.
Phenomenal. So here's how grenades work. Grenades, much like a lot of the Year Zero games that use grenades, has what's called a blast damage. So once you've determined the point of impact of the grenade, and in this case, it's pretty much right where you targeted, anyone within the allotted, radius of what would be a normal blast of a grenade, and that's determined by the GM in terms of a room or, a hallway or whatever it is. Anyone that's in that radius is going to be subjected to the blast damage. Blast in a grenade, if you look at your character sheet, is a 7. So you're going to roll 7 dice against each guy. If there's a lot of people, I'd say roll it once for everybody, but there's only 2 guys back there. So you roll 7 dice, and each 6 is going to cause a potential D10 roll with modifiers. So roll 7 against one guy.
Man the first, he is getting 1d10, and fella the second, if I don't drop dice, is also going to take a d10.
Okay, so it's going to be a D10, the default damage bonus for a grenade, and we're still working on whether or not this might be overkill. You guys can tell us if you think it makes sense. Presently, it's at +3, and that's pretty deadly, particularly if you rolled any extra 6s, which I believe you rolled an extra 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so 1 extra.
Yeah, so that would be a +4 to damage. It
Oh.
might be very vicious unless you roll particularly low. Let's
So
try it for the first guy. D10.
he gets a 9.
Okay, that's with the modifiers, right? So total
No,
9?
that's just the number on the die.
So
Oh,
13
man.
in total.
9 + 4. You're talking about 13. He's going to be shrapneled out. He's done. It shreds him. And the other guy,
Guy the second gets an 8.
an 8, and then that's +3 also going to kill both of these guys. Now, interestingly, you did say that you were lobbing the grenade to the rear end of the rail car, correct?
Yeah, just so the blast would be coming back the way into it.
Right. Critical that you did that and that you said that, because of course, if you lobbed it short or if it was inaccurate and it fell short, then they would have the benefit of cover. And the cover would mean effectively that you roll the body location on a D10, which there's a simple chart to remember. But you roll the body location, and then if it's behind cover, which in this case probably head and shoulders are above cover, if you roll below that, then they would not be affected if the cover was substantial enough,
Right.
which in this case, a steel rail car would have protected them. But you threw it behind them, which is great, and you were on target. So 2 dead Germans as the grenade goes off, and bravo, Corporal. We are going to move to the Germans, which admittedly, and through no fault of yours, I completely forgot to give an initiative card to. So we'll pretend that they're at initiative 11 and you can count your lucky stars.
Thank you very kindly.
So the 3 Germans that are behind cover are going to open fire. And you do see in your haste of lobbing the grenade that there are at least 4 or 5 Germans that have unloaded from the half track. And they are also running across the field trying to cut you off from your exit. The 3 Germans are going to fire again the way that I did before with concentrated fire. We've got their 6 dice plus their 2 helpers. And you are now moving, and in the darkness, we're rolling 2 less dice. And here they go. 1, 6. Shall I roll? Yes, I'm going to roll again, and I'm going to roll
Please
the
be French,
non-hits.
Please be French.
The non-hits, I rolled no 1s, so I'm going to roll the non-hits, and I got nothing. 1s, by the way, duds for the GM presently has no negative drawbacks because we're just that much fun. So only 1 6, and we're going to roll, and we're going to re-roll a 6 because we're now down to 5 people. And we've got ourselves player number 2. The wide open corporal has been hit. The wide open corporal has been hit. We have a +1 to damage from a German rifle, and the D10 roll is a 1. +1 is 2. So you would bubble in either cut or grazed or battered, probably grazed, as the bullet whiffs right past you and punches a hole through one of your uniforms. And you got lucky. Just FYI, another use of the FUBAR or a lucky strike is to re-roll the damage die.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that because I'm loaded with these. I'm dropping down
I
to
would.
3.
It's definitely worth it.
I now have 3, and after rolling a 1, I don't like it. So here's my D10 roll. This time it's a 6 + 1 is 7. You take 2 wounds, and at that point, you of course have dropped to 3 hit points. So that's not too bad. Now you would only bubble in grazed because that's technically 1 incident of being wounded for a medic to try to heal that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're down to 3 hit points. You've taken a wound that does force a guts check to see if your mind points start to diminish as well. So immediately make a guts check. You've got yourself 4 dice. Go for it.
Okay, guts check, 4 dice. Fingers crossed. No success.
Good team.
All right. So the effect of that, just so you know, is going to be to bubble in nervous, scared, or panicked, which I assume is probably appropriate considering you've just been shot at and raised. And then your mind points would drop from 3, which is what your mind point total is, to 2. Now, if you ever drop to 0 mind point, you've basically bottled out, so to speak, and you've decided that discretion is the better part of valor, and you would probably end up hiding. You actually will roll on a chart to see what you do, kind of like in Aliens, where the character's no longer kind of under your complete control and you're subjected to losing it,
Yeah.
So I assume you want to save your lucky strike?
In case there's any more bad stuff coming at me.
Yeah, which there probably will be. There's like 4 or 5 Germans running, and there's still 3 that are shooting. Only 3 have died. 3 have died. There's one in the fountain. That guy is hiding. And you know what I've done? What I've done is I've put in the rules, when you've got all these, bad guys, which inevitably you're going to have a plethora of them, maybe 10, maybe even 15. The GM has the prerogative to not roll things like guts checks. They can just narratively decide, I'm not going to roll a guts check. I'm going to say that this guy's buddy got shot and he's just going to cower in there, afraid for his life. And I'm not going to make that a die mechanic. You can choose to do that. So that's what I've decided for the guy in the fountain. And the dudes that are coming out of the half track are running for their full action, both slow and fast. We don't have much time. We're running out of time here, and I don't know what you guys want to do, but we're going to go for another round here, and we're going to say Stake has got 2 cards, Corporal's got 1, Private Doctor has 1, the Germans, the half-track, and the Frenchman. Okay, so highest card right now is, once again, man, that is Fast Reflexes is broken. Jacob Stake Corbin. Jacob Stake Corbin has a 2 this time. He had a 2 and a 6. So that is a really nice specialization. FYI, anybody making characters, get Fast Reflexes.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm just going to head down, legs pumping, heading towards the bathhouse and the dinghy, and screaming at the corporal, the flare gun! Call in support.
Perfect. That's fantastic. And indeed, at this point, you are hardworking. And so as a hardworking, you're going to get an extra die to roll your stamina check of 5 dice, plus 1, 6 dice to carry this heavy French load along with your weapons and gear.
No.
Are you gonna stumble? Were there any 1s in there?
Oh yes, fair not. Two of them.
Are you gonna spend a lucky strike, or are you just gonna go push your luck?
Let me just look to where my lucky strikes are. Oh, it's barren. It's empty.
Barren. Well,
I had to pump.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you want to fuel me for this, but I'll tell you what the consequences are, so you know before you have to decide. A failed stamina check is not only going to give you a fatigue point, which is basically equivalent to a loss of a hit point. So you drop from 4 to 3, but you're going to get strained or winded, and additionally, you're going to need to make a calisthenics check to see if you don't drop your load.
I can't remember.
By that I mean the Frenchman.
Did we say that we could share lucky strikes? I can't remember, or is that
you can? Yes.
In which case, Jim sees him stumbling or like about to trip over something and just shouts, "Wire, watch it!" to him so that he doesn't trip, so he can re-roll.
All right, re-roll that nonsense.
Thanks, Slim.
Yeah.
Unlucky, Slim.
Terrible.
On the plus side, I kept the 2 1s. So that was good.
No one ever listens to Slim.
Wire? What do you mean wire? Where's the wire?
Hang on, Gerry. Once more with feeling.
Another lucky strike.
Wow, burning all the lucky strikes.
It's important that I live, apparently.
Corbin.
2 6s.
Yeah,
there you go.
And only a single one.
All right. So you can choose for the extra 6. I did get 1 FUBAR back. Thank you.
Yep.
You can choose the extra 6 to either be a lucky strike for yourself or to have to avoid having to make this roll this next round.
I'll take the lucky strike because that works for the team. Somebody may be able to use it, as everybody seems to be falling behind me. I don't know why.
Okay.
They're not as good as me. They should spend some time on the farm getting up at 4. They don't know they're alive. Soft City boys.
And that was even with your hard working bonus too, man.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Trust me, dicey it, Gerry.
Yeah.
It's a rule of the universe.
Wow. All right. So initiative 3 falls on the medic. The medic gets to go next. And he is over here, I believe, if I see correctly. And you're dragging the other guy, right?
Yeah, I was dragging the other Frenchman down, but
he was able to get up on his feet too, thanks to your extra 6.
Yeah, so he's stumbling down the hill. Behind me is my buddy Slip, like cowering from the fire or from the gunfire.
I'm not cowering. He's going full on Hollywood.
Yeah, well, he did get nicked or grazed. You're not sure, and I forget. Did you make your panic roll? Did you make your guts check?
I failed.
You failed it. So yeah, he's definitely. You can tell he's gotten a little bit concerned at this point. Whether he's panicked outright or not, you don't know how bad he's shaken, but he is shaken.
Okay, so Jim's gonna see the Frenchman go down the hill. He called out the wire. Everything's fine with Steak. So Jim's gonna turn around and just grab, stumble back, grab Slip's like jacket and try and drag him out of the line of fire, basically.
Okay. Okay. So you got some assistance now, and of course your ally being there is going to give you an extra die should you have to take another a check. Oh, I've also failed to mention that any bubbles on those damage tracks, if it's the physical ones under hit points, all future strength and agility rolls are at minus whatever number of bubbles you filled out, and all intelligence and empathy rolls are at minus for however many bubbles you filled out under the mind point track.
Yeah. So Jim's hoping that together this will mean that they'll be able to both get down the hill quicker. Correct.
All right, so you've done that, and that is the medic. We now move over to, let's see what I've got here. This is the Germans. The Germans are at initiative 4. So the Germans that have moved across have basically come at an angle and are now 2 of them split off to these baths, and 2 of them have stayed at the corner of the second rail car, and they've come up to it and they appear to, one's kneeling down and the other one's above him, and they're both taking aim with their rifles. And the 2 that are rummaging through the bathhouse over here, the ruins of these structure, they appear to be taking positions, though they had to move a little further, so they will not take shots in this particular round. Additionally, you have the 3 that are here have basically decided to, they're still in good firing position, so they're going to shoot. And they've got 4 targets now only because the rest have gone past their line of sight. That's what's going down. So let's do 2 separate attacks. We've got 4 targets with the guys on the top of the rail car and the dock, as well as the corporal. And we have got 6 dice, 2 helper dice, movement and darkness. Here they go. Unloading. 2 6s. 2 6s. That means 2 targets, and 2 targets are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and reroll 5s and 6s. So it's going to be the dudes on top are 1 or 2. We've got reroll 5 of 4. The medic and Puck. Puck and the medic have been hit potentially. Let's see what happens here. We've got the guy up on top. Guy up on top is laying on his belly. So the only thing visible on his arms and legs, his arms and his head. So we're going to roll for body location, and we end up getting his legs. The bullet pings off the armor of the rail car to no effect. However, the medic is exposed and in the open rail lines, and it really doesn't matter what location unless it's his helmet. So we're going to roll to see if it's his helmet, because there is a helmet armor save. We got a 4. It's not your head, it's your torso, and we're going to see the effect of this damage on your torso. Oh, that's a 10.
So what was the thing you could do with your lovely lucky charms?
Strike can make me re-roll that 10.
I think I should make you re-roll that 10.
Yes. So interestingly, this is important because you have the option, right? So what you can do is you have the option of making me re-roll the 10, or if I do roll the 10, signifies 3 wounds. You have the option of spending the lucky strike to diminish it to 2 wounds. It won't be a critical, but you'll take definite 2 wounds. If you choose to make me re-roll the D10, I can still roll a 10 or a 9, which amounts to the same.
I'll cut it down to the 2 then. Yeah.
Always the pragmatist. That's our medic.
Yeah.
Okay, so you bubble in one of your thing. You got grazed, but you're down to 2 hit points, which of course could drop to 0, and then you are incapacitated as per a regular year 0 game. So you are down to 2 hit points. You've been grazed by a bullet that would have otherwise been very deadly, thanks to your lucky strike. Never leave home without them. So those are the Germans from that vantage. However, the 2 that are on the end of the rail car are going to be firing at our great and heavy set stake Corbin, as well as the one Frenchman that is at the shoreline, and he's in fact found the dinghy and he's dragging it to the edge there for everyone to come on board. Or is he? Or is he? I don't know. So the two Germans aren't going to have as many dice because there's only 2 of them, so they'll have 1 less. So let me make that computation here real quick. We've got 1 extra and then 2 for the darkness and for the moving quickly, though I wonder how quickly Stake is moving with that wonderful calisthenics roll. 1 singular 6. Don't like it, but I'll take it. I only have 3 FUBARs left, so I won't spend any additional ones, or shall I? Yes, I shall.
Go on. Be a devil.
Now I did roll 2 1s, but the FUBAR lets me re-roll those anyway. So this time I rolled 3 6s in total, 2 additional 6s. So we've got 3 6s, and we've got 3 targets. So I will argue that each of you got hit once. So here is for the Frenchman that was the perfect English guy. He doesn't have a helmet. He's getting straight up damage. No need to roll location. He ends up with 2 wounds. So he's hit. You hear him yelp in pain. He's been cut, or maybe the shrapnel comes out and nicks him in the face. Who knows? But he's taken 2 wounds, and we're going to leave the suspense and leave Stake for last. But we are going to go with your French collaborator / resistance fighter. Who knows? That's going to be an 8. Another 2 wounds for him. You hear the bullets pinging off of him, and then ultimately you're going to. Actually, you know what? I just made an error here. These Germans are firing bolt actions. They can only fire one round at a time. 3 hits therefore mean an additional damage point or an additional plus to the damage roll. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and give it to the French collaborator that has now taken a critical. So now we can showcase the critical wound. We're going to roll to see the location. He gets hit in the torso, and the roll is a D6 on a chart that I have handy here. And the torso hit is excruciating wound, knockdown, stunned for 1 round, loses 1 more hit point to fatigue. So he is now unconscious. He's in his excruciating pain, so much so that his yelling and screaming dies down as he falls unconscious on your heavy shoulders there. And you know that his body has gone limp, and he may be dead or dying.
If I was a terrible, terrible man, I would just drop him right now. But as I'm not, I'll wait until my initiative card is drawn before I drop him.
He is mechanically incapacitated at 0 hit points. And as the GM, normally you make a stamina check if you've taken any wounds from actual lethal weapons, not like a punch in the face, but from a lethal weapon, you make a stamina check when you're at 0. And if you fail that, you will potentially die within D6 hours. So that's kind of the fate that this guy's got right now. I can decide that narratively, I suppose. But I can tell you that next up in initiative is the French guy that's going for the dinghy. He actually, the French guy and the guys on top of the rail car. The French guy, you kind of out of sight. You can't really see him. He's mucking about in the reeds. What are your compatriots doing up on top of the rail car?
Well, seeing the way the wind's blowing, I think it would be time for them to take a final shot and start pulling back.
Okay. If they are doing suppression, let me see here, is suppression full auto requires both actions, slow and fast. I believe that suppression with just a burst does not. So you can fire a burst. I'll rule it that way right now. I don't really have the rule right in front of me, but we'll let him have a slow action to suppress and then take a fast action to jump off the rail car. Yeah. That seems appropriate. I know for full auto, for sure, if you were to fire a full automatic, go all tilt, it does require fast and slow action for you guys listening out there in internet world. So we're going to roll for them. I'll roll for them. Or you want to roll for them? You roll for them. They're going to have at a burst with a bar. You're looking at 8 dice.
Okay, so 8 dice. That'll be aimed down the street to where the Germans are in cover.
Yep, right here. And you're doing suppression, right?
Yep.
Okay.
2 successes.
Okay, that is either a check on their a -1 on their check, or you could, I guess, gain a lucky strike. But these are background characters. I haven't decided if background characters get. I don't think they do. So I would say it's a -1 to their leadership.
Yeah.
And so we're going to fail. So they are going to get their heads ducked down, and they are not going to move, at least for the time being. And then these guys jump off and they start moving.
Okay, well, wait. 2 more for...
Yes, for the chance of a lucky hit. Correct. Good catch.
I do not.
You not. All right. So much for the drama. So they jump down off the rail car and they start moving across, both of them. And it looks like you guys are just about ready to go. But, of course, we have our number 10 card, which is the wagon. And the wagon is going to move into...
My corporal didn't go this round.
He didn't? Oh, I have you here as a 9. I'm sorry. You go right before the 10. So you get to go just before this wagon.
You've got an extra dice here because I'm helping you. So remember, whatever you do, you've got an extra to
yeah, no. Trust me, I know exactly what I'm doing here. I'm grabbing the idiot medic by the scruff of the neck and just hoofing it down the beach towards the dinghy, doing nothing else. Moving
out and grabbing him and moving
fast and slow action just to get to the dinghy.
Yeah. So you're going to go out. So interestingly, what happens here is of course, in these games you have your time to act during the turn, and you could grab somebody and you can drag them along with you, and effectively, does that give you a free move? This is where some of the mechanics come in, where you can kind of get them to act on your initiative. So had the medic, and we've been using those rules, the medic could have rolled his command, which he doesn't really have command. Actually, no, he does not. But he can roll his empathy, and he can make a success. And if he does, he can get the guy who's going slower, in this case the corporal, to actually move at the initiative that Slim Jim had been going on. So sure. Yeah. That's the kind of mechanical way in which you can, hey, come with me, and then you go back together. Yeah. So we'll say you guys both crept out into this area. Is there anything else you'd like to do, man with the flare gun?
No, I don't think he brought it with him, GM. I think I think he left it behind the other side of the river, and that's why he's refusing to go near the flare.
No, I have the flare, and there's a specific reason I haven't been using it.
Because you want us all to die on this side of the river?
No.
Corporal, use the flare!
No, because there's a Panzerkampfwagen right there with heavy machine guns on it. At this point, if I'm allowed to launch the flare, I will launch the flare.
Could you remember what the flare even does, Corporal? Why are you a corporal? How did you get your position? I say, throwing the Frenchman into the dinghy.
Oh, if
All
I'm
right.
allowed to fire it, I will fire it.
So, are you firing it or not?
Sure, I'll fire it.
All right. So you fire it. It illuminates the sky in a brilliant red, adding to the fiery red dim lighting of the clouds underneath, and the thing just lights up the whole battlefield, and it of course permits the Kampfwagen to have a little bit more visibility. And indeed, at this stage, they're opening fire on an initiative 10 on the guys right here, which includes, let's see, your two compatriots there that are coming up.
Brewski and myself, I think.
Brewski, Puck, and I believe we've got the yeah.
I'm the third. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, had you not made it to the boat yet?
No.
He hadn't made it yet. He was there, but I mean, he's going rather slow with a dead weight on him.
Yeah.
And he slowed down when he failed his stamina check, right?
I see.
It was harsh.
So that was that. So now we've got some MGs coming your way, and that can't be good.
Ask for this.
I asked for this 3 turns ago. Refused, Corporal. If you have a hill to die on, and this is the hill I've chosen to die on.
7, 8, and 9, and they're opening up a full automatic since they have their belts going on. So we are going to have only a 1 die penalty for you guys moving, though I almost don't want to take it away from them because of how slow Stake is going. But we'll go ahead and give that to you. You're at the angle that vehicle is at. You don't really have the cover of the rail cars at this point. So here we go. We've got 3 6s with 3 targets. So 3 6s with 3 targets is going to be each of you getting pelted. And we're going to have Puck go first. He's got a leg hit, and his legs are shattered. It's going to be bad for Puck. He collapses onto the muck and the grass, and he appears to let out a small yelp, and mama, and he don't hear much from him again, as it appears, for those of you who saw it, his legs were kind of taken out from under him. The next character is Brewski. Brewski takes a lower body hit, and he survives it with a graze. And however, he is freaked out over his buddy Puck, and he sort of pauses and freezes and doesn't know whether to go on or go get Puck. So he's in a state of shock at the moment. And now our good Stake Corbin location won the helmet. We rolled a 1. Yeah. We have an armor save,
and armor.
And you've got 1 helmet, right? Do you have your helmet? So your helmet is going to be a 3-die armor save, needing a 6 to counter my 6 on any one of those 3 dice. Will it work this time?
What are the chances? Lucky strike on standby. Lucky strike required. No.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Had good innings.
We'll see the extent of the injury, and we rolled a damage die 7, and the machine gun is. Let me do this properly and look up the stats for this machine gun and see what the plus is to damage, so that I don't cheat you. We've got machine gun. It is an MG34 plus 3. I rolled a 7. You've got a 10. That is a critical in your head.
I can walk that off, surely.
Critical in your. Does anybody want me to re-roll that D10 with a lucky strike?
Nothing here.
Well, I've got no lucky strikes. I've got nothing.
Oh no lucky strikes.
Well,
here's the head injury. It's a 5. Punctured skull. The character falls unconscious, is immediately reduced to 0 hit points, and may die soon without surgical attention. So,
bleeding out
it
and
is a deadly wound. You can survive through D66 minutes, and D66 is rolled right now and privately by me.
Oh.
I know how long you have to live. You collapse onto the floor. The Frenchman rolls away from your limp body, and you've got a very bad fate there for steak. Wow, what a turn. What a turn of events. Shall we do one more round? Who's going to go back for steak? Do we leave it in suspense? I don't know. Let's deal the initiative cards. None for steak, unfortunately. Oh, man, these are not good initiatives, I'm afraid. Germans, Frenchmen, and I guess the Brewski. Yeah, Brewski. Okay, Brewski gets a 2. Brewski sees all this death and maiming and blood and guts all over the place, and he figures the better part of valor is to run. He runs pell-mell to the bathhouses. He completely has left the vicinity. I'm not sure if I'm moving the right dude, but I'm moving that guy, and he's running and diving into the reeds and almost out of sight. So that is his initiative. The next initiative is what are we doing here? This was the Frenchman. The Frenchman is at initiative 3. He's moved the boat into position, and he's looking to see if he's going to shove off or not. And he yells out in English, in broken English, "Hurry up or I leave without you! Move!" So it looks like he's going to stick around for maybe one round. I'm not sure if it'll go much longer than that, unless you maybe convince him to say otherwise. But he's got the boat ready. That's the Frenchman. Next, we've got Corporal Flip Kincaid at initiative 7. What do you do?
I get in the boat with the Frenchman and start paddling.
All right. So, and beside you, of course, beside you is Slim Jim Talbot, who has seen his friends go down, and I don't know what you want to do, but you can also, as a corporal, use.
I will order him to get in the boat.
Order him to get in the boat. Now let's test this little command check to see if you can get him to move at your initiative. So why don't you roll your command, which is 4 dice.
Okay.
And because it's such an alluring command, I'm going to give you 2 more because that does sound like the smart thing to do, though maybe the doctor would want to try to help his comrade. 2 successes. Okay, so I would say you get yourself a lucky strike, which are very important commodities, as we've seen. And you do get to get Private Slim Jim Talbot to move at initiative 7. So, Slim Jim, what do? You're being ordered to get on the boat. But you saw steak go down.
We were sent for a Frenchman. We have a Frenchman. We're out.
I love the idea that you've been sent for a Frenchman.
I don't know if it matters.
I would grab any Frenchman off the street.
I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters to you, but there is a mechanic in all these Year Zero games that have a buddy. And your buddy mechanically...
My buddy is Slip, yeah.
It is, in fact, Slip. Yeah. It's not steak.
No, I'd like to point out whose buddy Slips is. Just go down there and read out who your buddy is there, Slip, old buddy.
All I know is you.
Well, Jim is naive. If Slip has told him to get in the boat, this is the right course of action.
And we've got the right Frenchman.
Jim's going to dive in the boat and he's going to unload the rest of his pistol up towards the train car that had those 2 Germans behind to try and suppress them with the rest of his magazine.
Okay, so, yeah. Fair enough. So as a pistol unloads, you're going to do rapid fire or suppression rapid fire?
I'm going to do the rapid fire suppression. So that's basically the rest of my clip.
The rest of your clips. So you get yourself 3 dice added to your 6s, 9 dice minus darkness. Oh, no more darkness because we got a flare gun. So you get your full 9 dice. Now here's an interesting mechanic that I want to point out, just because we've managed to almost hit all the points of the game that makes it unique. So if you noticed, one of the things that happened when one of the guys on the rail car got hit, we rolled location, and if the location was in cover, then it was negligible. Nothing happened. You can always opt to do it that way, but if you prefer, you can take a -2 cover penalty to your attack roll, And then if you hit, you only hit the exposed areas.
Okay, even with the suppression ability. Yeah.
Oh, good point. No, suppression's different. You're right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to suppress them so that they duck down behind the train cars.
Go for it.
Okay, 3 more dice. That is 1 6, so it's at least 1 6. So yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, so 1 6.
Mm-hmm. No, there was no ones in there, so it's all good.
Okay, and they fail their suppression roll, or their guts check. So it looks like they're ducking back behind the rail car. Of course, that does mean that there are 2 more by the bats, and there is always the comp wagon.
But Jim's going to yell in French because I'm sure he knows what the word for row is, but he's going to yell at the Frenchman, row!
Oh no, trust me, Slip is already on the oars. He's just like, I'm out of here. I've had enough of this. I'm going back to America.
Brewski acts on initiative 7, and he clambers onto the tail end. He's wading into it like waist deep, and he clambers onto the end of the dinghy as he tries to basically get on board, and he does manage to get on board, and there doesn't seem to be anything foul going on with the boat. It looks like it's moving forward. And then we have the actual Germans, and the Germans that are left are the 3 that do not have any advantage to you. They're going to run across, and then the 2 in the bathhouse are going to take shots at the boat as the boat is now illuminated and you are able to be targeted. So we have a boat full of guys, right? We have, 2 GIs, a Frenchman, 3 GIs and a Frenchman, right?
Yep.
So,
I can't wait for this supporting fire to come across the river.
Yeah, it'll come. The flare is very visible. So 6, and we've got 1 helper, and we've got nothing else, no penalties, because that boat's not moving very fast, and it's no longer dark, and it is at medium range. We'll take away 1 die. And we are rolling, and geez, no hits. Let's spend my second to last FUBAR to reroll all of these suckers. And now we've got 2 hits, and we've got 2 hits that are going to target reroll 5s and 6s. We've got 1, 2, 3 for the GIs and 4 for the Frenchmen. 1 for the GI. We've got Brewski is going to get smacked down, and then it was 2 hits. So the second one is the Frenchman is going to get hit.
We can't lose the other Frenchman.
So I'm going to say that the boat does give you cover from the waist down, so we're only going to be able to target if it's above. We've got legs targeted. Now, this is a boat. This boat will give you cover, but it can penetrate a small, I don't know. Did they have rubber rafts in World War II? I guess they did.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to perhaps puncture that sucker. It's partially rubber, partially wooden, I would imagine. It's probably a bit sturdier than just a rubber raft that we take to the beach. So we're going to afford a save, and we're going to say that it's a 3 die. Let's call it 3 die save for Brewski. Somebody make that roll for Brewski.
Well, since Steak is dead,
would you like me to roll?
We should get
Oh, what could possibly happen to
Brewski? You take over for Brewski. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Oh, I pass, actually. I will.
Well, you were never meant to be Steak. You were always meant to be Brewski.
1 success. Let's go like
the dinghy blocks the shot. Let's see if it does so for the Frenchman. The Frenchman, unfortunately, gets hit in the upper body, so there's no cover for him. And the effect is just a small 1 wound graze. Frenchman ducks, and his hat gets blown off. Yeah, a little beret. It got blown off by the bullet, and just then the whole world lights up, and all kinds of firepower from 2 very heavy 50 caliber machine guns across the river open up in the direction of the Kampfwagen. And causes it on its initiative 9, which you guys are really lucky, man. Initiative 9 on that Kampfwagen. It basically rolls into cover as the machine gun fire basically envelops the entire area. I will say that I'm going to spend 1 of my last FUBAR to see if I can get you guys to avoid some possible friendly fire. FUBAR, of course, can be spent to change the plot of the story, and in this case, the plot is going to be an errantly fired machine gun that comes alarmingly close to your dinghy, and you guys are going to need to try to evade that. So I would imagine that would be a drive check, and I don't know if the corporal who has the best agility is going to take the control of the dinghy to avoid the heavy fire that's lighting up the water. Right.
Did say he was manning the oars.
I am on the oars, yeah.
It down? Can you slow it down to avoid the bullets that are hitting the water right in front of you?
Lucky
5
strike.
dice.
Make it 7.
Ooh, there it is. Spending the lucky strike.
2 success.
Nice. So not only do you slow the boat down, but you manage to maneuver it in a way that you know that the angle of the machine gun fire isn't going to hit, because you start to maneuver it kind of directly west instead of northwest, where most of the machine gun fire is maneuvering. You guys move out and into the cover of the back of the bathhouse, and it looks like you're in the clear. You were able to manage to get back to the near side of the Moselle River without 2 of your finest GI buddies. Who knows what happened to the punctured skull of Steak and the legs that were wrecked out of Puck. I mean, he'll never walk again. You'll go back to Captain Fontaine and deliver a Frenchman, whether it was the right Frenchman or not.
You said this for a Frenchman. He's French.
Do you want to stop sharing their game? Bring us bigger.
The little girl is going to be rather upset. I don't know. She says, "That's not my father."
Oh,
You hope
there,
a
we can kill the map now, Gabe.
All right. So that, gentlemen, is our little scenario entitled, what did I call this thing? I called it The Informant. The Informant.
A Dubois too far. There we go.
Nice.
Very cool.
We
Very
were
cool.
sent for
So
a Frenchman
what did
and
we
we
start
brought
at
a Frenchman
4:30?
back.
Well, this was a 3-hour affair. 3 hours.
That's
A lot
not
of
bad.
explaining.
Well, yeah, there was
Yeah,
a fair
It was
bit
good
of
fun though. That was really awesome.
I
It was
enjoyed
really
that.
cool.
Yeah, I would definitely do that again. Sorry,
I
Steve.
would, but I would like to have somebody more senior present to prevent the corporal from making rash or irrational decisions.
Hold on. To try and save anyone that had been knocked down on that beach would have been suicide. I made a proper command decision.
Yeah. It's all the
You
command
just don't like that your
decisions
character died, although
it's all
that
the
is
command
something that will
decisions
have to
leading up
happen
to
in
that,
the game
Corporal.
sometimes.
Your buddy is dead there. Where would the Iron Man have met? I think I'll have to leave that up to the people viewing at home. But thanks a lot for running us through that, Gabe. If people want to know more about War Stories, like I say, we've already got an interview with myself and Gabe on the channel that you can go back and have a look at. And it should be coming to retail in the not too distant future as well.
Yeah, pre-orders will be probably put up relatively soon. I'm working on the last draft of the book and doing some last minute edits. Our playtest group is hopefully hard at work and giving me some feedback for some last minute changes here and there. But every game sees a tiny little wrinkle flattened out, and I think we've got a really good final product coming out very, very soon.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be exceptional. Well, folks, if you've liked what you've seen, comment below. If you've any comments to make about not just how Corporal slipshod there was completely slipshod in the way he managed the team, but also if there's anything like the little suppressing lucky strike mechanics and things like that, you have a decision or a say on, drop them below. We'll pass them across to Gabe. But until then, bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this Let's Play. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.